second semifinal. And Hightech is already on the line. How you doing, mate?
I'm fine, excited, a bit nervous, as always.
You do sound really excited, man. Was it a
Yeah,
good save for you?
it was. Yeah. I just stopped working and focused on the nice stuff. Uh, so yeah, let's see.
The nice stuff that is, of course, the second semifinal here. Yesterday we had a dual cast, and yesterday we had Seksi in the semifinal. I hope the tears dried a little as you're on the line with us here today.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, that was a tough loss for sure. But it's a new day, and I'm excited to be here with you guys and casting what should be a very good second semifinal here.
This is a different map than yesterday, guys. What can you tell us about this map, and how is it different from what we've seen? Or maybe we should go into that a little later when we actually see the map. We, of course, have 4 different participants here today. We know one, that is SyDe. What can you tell us about these 4 guys?
So yeah,
Hightech.
let me start. So we do have again players from different brackets, as we had 3 different brackets this season. One for no chat games, one for normal FFA games, and one was the rookie bracket. And one player from the rookie bracket made it to the semifinal. Ilares here, French Night Elf player, who I think is maybe most nervous of all of them here. And then we have 3 very experienced players. SyDe, comparatively new to FFA still. I think he just really just started to play FFA competitively end of last year. And yeah, Janker Zam from Sweden started playing in 2015. He's the best friend in real life of Feta Ug, other Swedish player who's known for Feta Stomps. Not sure if you've heard of that. It means if you like stomp and you don't hit anything, it's called a Feta Stomp. And that's something Feta invented. So Janker is Janker is the better half of that, and he's a random player and won season 30 of FFA Masters League. And then last but not least, active since 2004 is Alien, who is from Denver, Colorado. And yeah, this could be a really nice one. So let's get this going already.
I hope we don't need any restarts with the reforged infrastructure. Seksi, what do you think? What's the better semifinal, the one from yesterday or the one we got today?
You know, I think they're pretty evenly matched. The player from the rookie bracket that made it, Legoose, yesterday, and then Ilares today, I think they're pretty similar. They're both from the rookie bracket. They both, play Night Elf. Probably a pretty similar style. Both semis have a semi-pro player, of course, in Neutron and SyDe, and then 2 experienced free-for-all players. Of course, with yesterday was myself and Ishan, and in this game it's Alien and Yanker. So they're both strong semis. I think they're pretty balanced as far as the cast in both games.
Looking good. As you can hear, the game has started. We jump right in. If you need more information, of course, on FFA, you can find that at ffamasters.net. Semifinal number 2 is on the way. I got Hightech and Seksi by my side. Who's going to join the 3 finalists here today? Hightech, lead us in to the new map we have here.
Yeah, this is a more classy map compared to the one yesterday. So this is Harvest of Sorrow, the map created by our good old master and King Warpex, founder of the FFA Masters community back in 2003. So he created this map. It has been around for a long time, almost unchanged, but obviously for reforged reasons we had to remove the bridges here. So initially there were bridges on this map, but apparently bridges cause desyncs now, so we don't have bridges anymore. But it's a very huge map. We do have a lot of gold here. We do have some center mines that can be contested early on. There is a golem rune here on 2 of these spots in the center. Can be nice to get them for creeping. And then we have the markets. So markets, obviously, especially with the items, tier 6 items, spell shields, and that kind of stuff, can be very, very strong. And yeah, we'll see.
And I'll jump in here. And first of all, is my microphone volume okay for you guys? Am I loud enough there?
It's absolutely wonderful for me, at least.
Yeah,
Maybe
perfect.
we get feedback in like 15 minutes when when the viewers can hear you as well. But for me, it's totally fine.
Okay, excellent. I want to start out by saying that both Alien and Zam played random, and they both randomed, in my opinion, their best race in Orc. Alien up here with Orc, and then Yanker down here with Orc. I'm really happy to see that. Orc is really good on this map. Plus, it's their, in my opinion, probably their strongest races. I also like that the spawns are balanced in this way, where you pretty much know that this is going to be an initial one-on-one, and then these two players are going to fight down here as well. So really starting out nicely here in both those regards.
So for me as a one-on-one player, of course, I have no clue about the meta. Yesterday we haven't seen any orcs, but a lot of chimeras and hippos and gargs and stuff. Can't you just blow them up with bat riders?
Sure, yeah, of course. I mean, bats are definitely good. When you're facing a good undead player, though, the combination of both stone form ahead of time, and then
Yeah.
once the Lich and the Dreadlord become level 5, the volley of level 3 Frost Nova and level 3 Carrion Swarm will kill the bats, at least if they're not spirit linked. So you'll see bats die from nuking and avoided by stone form. Typically, the best thing to do with an orc army is to have a mix to incorporate some bats, but still have like a Wind Rider, Caster, Tauren type army. Of course, with you know, a big Tauren chieftain stomping the front lines and then blowing the bats on the light air, focusing the Wind Riders on the heavy air, such as the Destroyers and the Frostworms.
That sounds like crazy fights. I can't wait. We have a little different of a build by side compared to you yesterday. Once again with two necks. Okay, there's the tech again. Was waiting for it. Not as fast as you, but still with an
Yeah,
expansion.
I'll take a little bit of credit. I talked to SyDe a little bit about this kind of build, and it's a macro heavy build. Obviously, you can build a necropolis instead of you know, a standard graveyard. In this case, he built a couple extra ghouls. He also built a shop first, so he could get a rod. It just slows the tech down slightly. The build that I had yesterday, I didn't build a shop and only made 4 ghouls because I wanted to rush those dragon creeps. But this is definitely a very solid build if you're gonna skip fiends, because he can either go to his necro wagon, of course, or he can start out with gargoyles. But really, fiends, unlike solo, fiends are not very good in free for all, because once heroes get to level 5, you know, once the armies are above 80 food, fiends just aren't as effective. You want to switch to air, you know, necro wagon, something like that.
And sorry to interrupt you, but Janker is having a very hard time here in the center.
No.
Yeah.
Got bolted 2 times by this golem, so that's very unfortunate. Obviously, this golem is nice to have, but to get there, you have to kill the golem first, and that's not that easy with the Blade Master early. So he has to spend some gold on revive. Should not throw him back too much, but it's like, it feels bad still. So has to tavern the Blade Master here.
Yeah, tough start there. If I could talk about the players a little bit more. Starting at the top, Ilares. I don't know too much about Ilares. I guess maybe High Tech you can fill in. Is he one of the better out of the rookie bracket? I mean, obviously he made the semifinal. I haven't really seen many of his games. Any thoughts on the Blue Elf?
I think he has improved most from all the players in the rookie bracket, I think. His first few games were underwhelming, and then he really caught up, and I think he was most active. So, yeah, we'll see. I think he's definitely a player that can take up a fight here, but will be interesting. A lot of archers.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of archers to start. Moving on to Alien on the top right, random player, like I said, very good with Orc. He's a very well-rounded player. I would say good micro, good macro, good FFA sense, smart, patient. Maybe not top of the line at anything, but he's definitely very, very good at everything. So I think he's a good contender to win here. Definitely one of the best players to not have won an FML title. Yanker is pretty similar in certain ways. I think he's very, very smart. He has excellent free-for-all sense. Maybe better than almost anybody. Good micro as well.
Better than Neo. I don't know.
Yeah, make fun of me.
I haven't
But
seen
you'll
you.
see these two
I haven't
orc
seen you
players.
playing FFA, so I don't know.
Soon enough. Yeah. Soon enough. But yeah,
I
you'll
think
see these two players. They got the Rock Golem here for Alien, and the Rock Golem here for Yankerzam. To be honest, SyDe probably doesn't even know about these Rock Golems, I would think. But of course, that's a permanent summon, so they have stun, and it's pretty amazing. So if these orc players can keep these rock golems alive, you know, to add to the hex and stomp combo to basically throw a storm bolt, you know, it's gonna be pretty deadly.
I'm a little surprised about the Blade Master in FFA. I thought it's a lot about, of course, the TC. So, what's the deal with the Blade Master?
I do think that Blade Master, like Orc, has serious issues getting damage off because units are just worse for Orc. So Orc really relies on bats in order to fight air, which you frequently face in FFA. And then you just on a map like this in particular, Blade Master with Critical Strike is still the best hero that you can stack with damage items. So just stacking the Blade Master and getting off 400 crits is still like a game changer, and triple Orc hero with Blade Master is very, very nice. So we do see Alchemist first, Dark Ranger first for Orcs sometimes, but Blade Master, especially after they patched back the old crit, is definitely the meta in FFA.
Yeah, that's a good point about the Blade Master, and I think you hit on it. There's really 3 choices for first heroes for tier 1, Blade Master, Alchemist, or Dark Ranger, depending on the map. As Hightech noted, because of these big markets and plenty of red creeps on the map, you can stack the items so well. So you're going to be able to get Amulets of Spell Shields, Claws plus 12, you know, the plus 4 Strength, plus 4 Agility, Helm of Valors. The Blade Master is going to be insane. A lot of times it comes down to hero arena in these high-level free-for-all games where the players aren't left with much except for their heroes. And of course, it's, you know, going to be difficult to face a high-level Blade Master, Torn Chieftain, and Shadow Hunter. So I do like the Blade Master pick here. Alchemist would have been fine. Blade Master is very good on this map.
Sounds good. So after this early game, we see it's pretty peaceful. It's a lot of creeping. It's a little bit of expanding. SyDe already going for the second expansion here. Who would you give the edge to so far?
It's hard to say. Like usually on a map like this, everyone will get 2 expos pretty early. I think they're pretty late already with their second expos. And we shouldn't forget that these center expos have fewer gold than the others. So these center expos have only 10k gold. And some of the other expos have, or 8k, sorry, even only 8k. And the other expos have more gold. So it's always a question whether you want to go for the contested center expos first or the others. But you will get your 3 expos before you take the first fight on a map like this. Or even 4 expos. So
Right. And for those of you that are new to free-for-all, the beginning of the game, you're pretty much trying to creep out as much of the map as you can and take your share of the expansions. And it may seem a little bit strange that these players aren't fighting each other, as you see here, just basically running by each other, right? But if you think about it, if you start an early engagement, it's going to prevent you from creeping the map. It's going to prevent you from getting bigger items, from advancing your tech, you know, from putting up more expansions. So, you know, an initial engagement is really going to hurt both players, where the other 2 players will be happy to basically take a larger share or portion of the map. Now, not to say that early aggression is not smart, but typically you want to be calculated. You know, an early aggression is typically like an 80 food army, right? Where you have enough production buildings to jump from 50 food to 80 food quickly and maybe attack around like a 10 to 15 minute mark. Very, very rarely is it to your advantage to attack earlier than that, unless you're, you know, potentially surrounded and don't have a way out, or some other situation like that.
and we do see Ilares contesting the creep spot here, which may cost him a TP here. But we'll see.
Nice rejuvenation there to save his hero, potentially.
So far, there's another Coil Nova lining up. Wonder if he
Yep.
TP's before.
SyDe
This
missed
is
the coil
almost
on the
ready.
big creep there.
Oh yeah. Was
Nice
stunned a little.
defend by the elf there. I think he got the best of SyDe in that small engagement.
Okay, now we got the TP. That surprised me quite a bit. I mean, SyDe is one of the best solo players we have in Europe, so fighting him one-on-one is not the easiest task you have.
And that's the thing about these creep jacks. It's always some players like to go for it, others not so much. I personally don't like to go for it because you, first of all, you determine your enemy in some cases. So he might be forced to fight SyDe now, I don't believe it's the case with SyDe, but with other players, they will attack you. If you creepjack them, you force the fight against them, and potentially you don't want to determine your enemy at this point before you know all armies, before you know everything. So it's always a risk, but he just wanted that experience, so I understand why he did that.
I do think that he's a bit scared now. As you can see, the elf is breaking 50 food. He's going into upkeep, potentially maybe planning to defend against SyDe or possibly attack SyDe.
Yeah, way too early in my eyes. I think it's you really need some bank before you can go up to 80, or against undead you usually want to fight on 100 supply, I think. So I don't really believe he can break any of these players with his first army.
Right. So already fighting over these expansions here. So if I was the red player, I would have gotten this expansion and this expansion, right? Instead of going up here, because these are going to be contested by blue. But maybe SyDe is aggressively expanding and really trying to take his control of the map and preserving these expansions. Of course, with his micro, he can probably do that. Interesting strategy there to expand into the other player instead of taking what are more like his naturals.
Yeah, it should be easier to defend late game. That's a pretty good point. He also expanded very aggressively in the middle pretty early on. So we got a lot of lovely YouTube comments yesterday. So much fun. And one in particular stood out and said, like, FFA is like the Game of Thrones of Warcraft. So is there a player who is like the little finger, who might be a little smarter or bait the others into a situation they don't really want to be in?
I mean, Ishan is called Seksi sometimes, but he's also... I assume he could also be Littlefinger, I guess, but...
Yeah, I guess Ishan is probably the most notorious for that. He's probably the biggest threat in the game as far as someone that doesn't necessarily have the best technical skill as far as micro and macro. Very smart, very cunning. He doesn't like to admit as much. I mean, a lot of players will manipulate, and that's part of the game, but yeah, he's probably got some of the best skills as far as diplomacy, manipulation, things like that.
I think SyDe might be Jon Snow. Like, SyDe is really, like, he's too nice maybe sometimes for this world, but still very strong.
I thought the same, especially when you're not that experienced in FFA, you might fall for a bait or two.
Yeah.
That's an awesome comparison.
He's super strong though, and yeah, you would think like he's too nice sometimes for FFA, but if you embrace it and if you don't get offended, it's also an advantage again. So let's see, first fight here on the right side between Alien and Ilares, and yeah.
It was a pretty good stomp right here. We see the Blade Master already with 177 crits. This is only gonna get higher throughout the game. Second stomp hits pretty much the entire army, so no feather stomps here so far.
Shadowhunter barely survives. You see the Orc picked up a Pendant of Mana, which he has on the Shadowhunter, which is just insane. It's especially late game once he can spam those big heal waves. All right, it looks like the fight between Yanker and SyDe is starting as well. Fighting over this creep camp at least.
TC is already down. There's more Nova. This Shadowhunter doesn't have the big pendant of energy, so he might fall here as well. There's a TP and an Invo Potion. Might pass it. Oh, yeah. There was a little bit of healing, and now he turns it around with a 147 crit.
Ooh.
Oh, not passing the TP. This might be a mistake. Unholy Aura. Frostmourne Hungers.
Will he hex him? Oh.
He's going for the DK though, that's super risky. But he's hoping for a lucky crit using
He
the...
got him blown, yeah.
That's...
His Shadowhunter had 70 mana right at the end. He possibly could have got him there with Hex.
Wow.
And he may lose the Blade Master if he doesn't TP in time here. But should TP.
Yeah.
But it's still a waste of gold.
So let's take a look at SyDe's base. You can see the improvement as he's learned from playing the season. Just with the amount of crypts that he has, right? He has 6 crypts, 2 slaughterhouse, 1 boneyard. Interestingly enough, no Temple of the Damned. I guess Necrowagon is not as strong against Orc if they're prepared for it. But he has enough production buildings to pivot. And you see he's 50 food, multiple expansions, 8,000 gold, and enough production buildings. This is a very solid start macro-wise as he continues to creep the map and gather items. So Alien commented in the chat so early versus the elf player, and he was upset that the elf player attacked him so early. But now they're both 80 food, they're both engaging, and we'll see if he can utilize this to his advantage and get these big heroes. Oh, Death Knight died, huh? I missed that.
Me too. I have no idea how that happened. But we have a big fight in the north, and we see the first Bat Riders. Huge stomp again, Bloodlusted Wyvern. We love to see that. Against the Tinker, it's not that easy, I guess, to keep them alive. But as you mentioned before, Pendant of Mana on the Shadow Hunter, that's a huge help.
Yeah, it's Spirit Link, Healing Ward, Healing Wave all together. Makes him pretty tanky.
And 5 upgrades as well. Love to see status traps.
Yeah, we do see that's a typical issue for Elf in this situation. Like, if you don't deal enough damage with your first army onto that orc, if you break 50 too early, you just struggle with gold quite quickly, and you don't have the hero levels to defend against a stacked Blade Master in this case. Blade Master already up to 75 damage, so with crits, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's going to be toming the elf player, as we call it.
Yeah, toming means you just try to get experience, as much experience as you can from a player, and in some cases even just try to let that player live barely, just to get more experience. And yeah, we do see... Yeah, we do see Ilares getting up some APs here, but I don't think that will really do the job.
We had another fight in the south where SyDe was forced to TP out of that. So everyone broke upkeep now, and it's pretty much time for non-stop fights, I guess.
Yeah, SyDe ahead in gold, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, they'll both fight. Someone will eventually piece, possibly, once it becomes a three-way or maybe before that. But this should be pretty entertaining. I'm glad that Yanker has Orc. I think that Orc does well versus Undead, you know, if you're prepared at least, and probably gives SyDe the best run for his money as Orc.
Ilares seems pretty crippled as well. What is the right time to, like, move away from the fight and just let him live for a while and rebuild, maybe? Because it could, like, clearly finish him, I guess, at this point. The Moonwells are dry, there's not many IPs.
To be honest, at this point, I think in an important game like this, it's too big of a risk to keep him alive, because you also need to keep in mind either you decide to keep him alive and get experience off him, or you take all of his expos. So that's the alternative. So if he kills him now, he has access to additional gold, to more gold mines. So it's just a risk to keep a player alive for too long. And especially as Orc, if you can get enough gold, you will get your levels anyways. We'll see. Maybe SyDe is going to help him now.
Yeah, interesting enough that SyDe is coming up to check on this fight here. I didn't see a Shade go up there, but he's responding to the help call from the Elf.
And SyDe is really good at scouting. That's one of his biggest strengths in FFA. He's one of the best players in scouting. For scouting.
And just Dreadlord, who has like the most insane inventory I've seen on a hero.
Yeah,
like
brilliant, Stealth Shield, Pendant of Mana, Staff of Silence.
Super sick.
Insane. Yeah, especially if you have the item on a hotkey like a Staff of Silence. Super effective, obviously. I would like to see another big health item on the Lich. If you can try to find a Khadgar's Gem on the Lich, possibly another Spell Shield as well. But yeah, his heroes are looking very strong.
Another expansion taken out for Ilares, who has a really tough game so far.
Yeah, it's
no mercy for the rookie.
Yeah, it's just difficult. Like, eventually, I remember my first FML game, and it's just... Also because you're just nervous, it's so difficult to play your best and then to defend against a player that is just going for it here.
And this was an interesting concept that we had this season, where there was 3 brackets, as Hitex has explained. There was a no chat bracket, a standard, and then a rookie bracket. And it was cool that, you know, the top of the rookie bracket got a chance to play in the semifinal, each 2 competitors. But ultimately, they are going to be the weak links in these games, and you know it is proven to show that there.
So is that like a really big advantage for Alien that he can feed off of the rookie?
I mean, yeah, I would say yeah. And you always want to look at gold counts as well, right? Like in the top right there. And you see that Alien is up there with the other 2 players, 80 food, you know, 8,000 gold. But yeah, he has the best hero levels right now. He has the easiest opponent. So as SyDe and Yanker start fighting, they're probably going to destroy each other more so, where Alien will be able to get more experience without losing much. And in addition to that, Alien took this expansion from the Elf player, as Hitex noted. So he has an extra expansion. He also potentially could take this one, but SyDe just took it. So yeah, I'd say Alien definitely has an advantage so far.
Right, we already see the level 5 TC, 5-second stun, 6-second cooldown, we all know that. So between SyDe and Yunka, is it now about who breaks first? And who's the big aggressor, or what's the balance between these 2 now?
I think they are aware that Ilares is almost dead. I mean, they also know that Ilares is probably a weaker player than Alien, so they will not go all in right now. Like, their top priority now is to get some experience, maybe take some fights, but also get some gold and be prepared for the 3-way. Because you just... seeing SyDe walking up at the top here, it's a bit of a similar situation as yesterday with Neutron. Usually you would not help in a 3-way unless you really have one player that is like just toming him for half an hour. But in this situation, I don't think it makes sense to really help Ilares. You would just want to let him let him get out of the game, or you even help Alien to kill him, because it's Alien's tome right now. And if you're SyDe, for example, if you're not as nice as SyDe is, you could also just get some part of that tome. So you could also try to get some experience here.
So these 2 are trading expansions now, pretty much 1 for 1. Oh, maybe 2 for 1 even. And Alien is right, I hope they're fighting, and I mean they don't kill each other yet, but definitely an issue. Oh wow, these bats are gonna be huge on the Gargs, and we see a nice Infernal on top of everything. It's gonna be a crazy fight, but the Gargs take out the Wyvern, so they will be superior. TC is in trouble, not level 6 yet, not even level 5 actually. He can dash out some good stumps. New Bat Riders are coming in, taking care of all the remaining gargoyles, but he doesn't finish the job just yet. TC in huge trouble, can run away with the Endurance Aura, but SyDe has an Endurance Aura as well, plus the Unholy Aura, so he's always going to be faster, and Carrion Swarm finishes the job.
Very nice use of the Staff of Silence here. I thought for a second he could have used it earlier, right after the TP. He could have silenced all the Orc army. I think that would have been better even, but yet he killed a lot of stuff, got the TC, so I guess he's fine.
Yeah, it was a good fight, and maybe, like you said, you're not used to using Staff of Silence quite as much. It was interesting that he dropped the Infernal item so early in the game. Usually it's more of like an ending move. But you'll see that, you know, the purpose of that fight, they were both 80 food. Well, now if you look, they're both in no upkeep, right? They're both at 50 food or less. So it's beneficial. They gained experience and they're in better upkeep now. Kind of interesting that a fight can help out both players in those regards.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do see Temple of the Damned here. So SyDe's special move.
Yeah, absolutely true. Also in the 1-on-1 competition, one of the only players that plays Necro Wagons against pretty much everything, and makes it work.
And he's really good with Frenzy Gargs also, and that's something we rarely see in FFA, or we rarely saw before SyDe started playing it. So
Frenzy Ghouls, you mean?
Frenzy not Frenzy Ghouls, but isn't it called Frenzy? What's the
Unholy Frenzy.
Unholy
yeah.
Frenzy Gargs, and a lot of anti-magic shells. So that's something he's going to go for here.
Yeah, anti-magic in general seems very, very powerful to me. Maybe not too much in this game, but rather yesterday when we had 2 Tinkers and 2 Pandas, all that AoE gets absorbed.
Yeah, it surely is. These anti-magic shells are really strong. He's going for the update, getting some Banshees. Also, maybe more in the past, double race or triple race was a big thing in FFA, but it gets you teamed quite quickly if you get buildings of another race. So that's why most players don't really do it unless they are very far ahead. But it's an option, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd say failing to make Banshees in my game yesterday was a mistake of mine. Obviously, the magic shield on my Death Knight that fell a few different times to Neutron, that would have helped a lot. I think typically it's not quite as needed, but of course Neutron with very good micro, invisibility on his Mountain King and things like that, they would have came in handy.
So we have another Infernal Stone for sides. Maybe he can end something with that later. And another attack by Alien into the poor Ilares.
Yeah, he's really toming him to the fullest. So that's like toming par excellence. He's taking his expos. He's just waiting in front of his main base. Ilares down to 7 gold, so...
Yeah, he's
wow,
got to put
that's
some
true.
this expansion, but I mean he can leave, you know, at this point, I would say, but
Yeah, and this is a more typical outcome of this game. Like, no one is really... Like, no one will help you if you're the first one to be in that position. Like, there's no need really to help you. There's more of a need to finish you off. Because in this situation, he's only... Like, he has some bears still. But if Alien kills all of these units and heroes, it's going to be a nice XP boost for him. So, yeah. And SyDe knows.
So how's the balance now, I wonder? Obviously Alien is always in upkeep, like at around 80 supply, and SyDe and Junkers Dam were down to 50 for quite some time to bank. Is it more important to get the heroes super quick, super high, or can that gold make the difference at the end?
I guess if you have a bank of at least, like if you have at least 10k gold, and if your heroes are 555, you're prepared for the late game. So that's, I think 10k gold, 555 is a great basis to go into 3-way. So in this situation, I do think Alien is in a decent spot, but he will probably get teamed after Ilares is defeated. So I think SyDe is in a really, really good spot here.
So one thing I'll point out, when you play free-for-all, you want to have multiple town portals. A common mistake of solo players or people that are new to the scene will just have a single town portal as you would in solo. But of course, if you have a large army and you lose your main hero, you know, you're going to lose so much. In this case, SyDe only has 1 town portal. Now, granted, he has a vulnerability potion on his Lich as well. But against a good Orc player, there might be a time, some point in this game, between Stomp and Hex rotation, the Death Knight falls, and it may potentially be a big loss for SyDe.
And we see a sweet plus 34 damage Blade Master already. Are Kodos coming in the late game, or are they just too squishy for FFA?
Yeah, rarely. But can be, I think they're a bit underrated maybe, but Orcs just don't have time for that. So they usually skip
I think he already
them.
has the War Drum item as well.
Yeah,
since
he
they
has
no
it
longer
now.
attack. You probably won't have a Kodo.
Yeah.
So we have another Infernal here, leads to an Invoke Potion and a Hex Focus Fire. So let's see them crits. 308, that's pretty sweet. Last second Invoke Potion at 50 HP. And now return on the Shadow Hunter, who's pretty much out of that fight as well. But mana's getting low on Dreadlord
TC
and
out
Lich.
of mana. So SyDe dropped another Infernal just now, huh? Another Infernal Stone.
Yeah. How much is an Infernal Stone at the marketplace?
Isn't it like
800?
700, 800? Yeah, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah, I don't love the fact that he's getting Infernals right now. He's not getting much of an early game advantage by using them, but it's fine. Obviously, he's got, you know, 20k gold along with the Orc. They're in a very similar position right now. I
Yeah.
will say this, Orc with 20k gold is going to be better than Undead with 20k gold, almost certainly. Their bases are tougher to break with their towers. Of course, you can pump bats, your hero levels. Undead bases are more like paper compared to Orc and Human, I'd say, where you can lose your base and have a lot of gold.
And finally, Ilares is going to be finished here. It's frustrating being in that position, but he has some.
You know that position,
trees.
huh?
Yeah, I mean it's not uncommon to be in that position, especially in your first year of FFA. He's trying to get up some trees here on the other side of the map, but I don't really think he will be able to survive for much longer.
Yeah, Alien already took his other expansion here. And for those looking at this and wondering maybe what the Elf could have done differently here, obviously had a very difficult game. He chose to break upkeep so quickly and attack Alien with an 80 food army that the Orc was able to scout and be prepared for. So, you know, if you're gonna go for an attack, you either want to have the timing be very quick before the Orc has Master Casters, or you want to wait and do the 100 food army versus Orc, which is going to be definitely more difficult to defend with. But really, I think as the Elf player, if I was in his shoes, I would have took as many expansions as I could. I would have sat on 50 food. I would have played passive, wait for someone to attack me, hoard gold. Because Elf's army is very strong with Chims and Hippos and Druid of the Talents and things like that. So if you're forced to defend and you go 100 food, you can fight a good Orc or a good Undead player. But if you go on the aggression too early and don't time it well, and then you fail in your first attack, like he did, then you saw he was very vulnerable and, you know, gave an easy game pretty much to the Orc so far.
Alright, so now that the North is finished, we take a look again at our southern fight with SyDe and Junker. I just read in chat that Junker is the current reigning champion. Is that true?
Yeah, he won season 30, so he's finally well deserved. He got the title, so might be easier to play if you're the defending champion. I don't know.
So interesting here, SyDe 100 food, if you guys see that. Orc 50 has not scouted this 100. Of course, these towers will hold him off a little bit, but we'll see if the Orc will realize soon enough to produce an army.
Yeah, he has
Pretty
a...
scary.
I'm not sure if this this Sentry Ward is inside here, but I guess he should see it now.
Sentry Ward's range is huge, but across the entire screen... Okay. Okay, now he sees it, I guess.
Yeah, he
So
should.
another smart move that you see SyDe is doing here, when you're in high upkeep, of course, it's very inefficient to mine. So his acolytes are not actually currently mining, right? Just held position on there until he drops upkeep again, which is smart.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, now Junker is quickly pumping, but maybe a bit too late. His wards might have been a bit too passively placed here. So he may have a hard time to defend this. We'll see.
Ooh, frenzy worms, I love to see that.
Wyvern.
So he only has like one Bat Rider. Is that even enough to hold this? How's the army calm?
Yeah, he needs more bats. And I think he's lacking bestiaries maybe. He has 5. Maybe he should have gone for 7 or something, but we'll see. His
Yeah,
Blade
SyDe
Master
should
can
be
carry.
diving into this here, destroying the Wyvern. There's only 2 towers here, so SyDe shouldn't be afraid to dive in there.
Trying to take up the fortress.
First 5 bats are out.
Quite some Gargs lost, but he should still be able to take this. Next bats are coming in and they will finish for sure, but...
And SH might die here.
Fight.
SH at the top. He's so tanky.
Another yeah.
Yeah.
2 Cutlass jams, alright, 1200 health, that's nice. Worms are about to drop as well for SyDe.
Yeah, I think he can defend this. May take a bit, but he's fine. But nice experience still.
Some sweet snipes in the bats. We see Hex against Worms like we do in one-on-one as well. Another TP. That's a lot of items gone for Junker. And another sleep. He wants the Shadow Hunter so bad.
DK.
DK
man
no
on the Shadow
invul,
Hunter.
but Shadow Hunter will die. Yeah.
No Staff of Silence.
Triple on the blade now. He's smelling blood in the water once more.
And that's a disadvantage if you spend so much gold on permanence that you don't have slots anymore for invuls, or you just don't. And shops are quite far away on this map, so it's not that easy to just collect invuls on all heroes. So, but it should be okay. It's not even the worst spot right now. Junker is on 20k gold. Ilares almost dead, and SyDe knows, so Junker will not die here.
That's a wonderful game for Alien, isn't it? First he gets fat, and now he can chill and no upkeep and mine out the north.
Yeah, you can see him on 50 food now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, the fact that SyDe went 100 food with so many expansions, like SyDe just dominated this fight, right? But they were even in gold, and now SyDe has 13,000, or Yanker has 20,000. So, you know, assuming that SyDe will survive, or excuse me, Yanker will survive, whether Alien helps him or whatnot, he's going to be in a pretty good position, and maybe SyDe will be the one that becomes team now, and Yanker can fly under the radar a little bit with a lot of gold, and still very good hero levels.
Yeah, we should mention that it's not that big of a deal to lose a main base in FFA if on a big map with 20k gold. He can easily rebuild here on the right, and he's already doing so. So it's only costing you like 5 to 10 gold efficiently to rebuild a main base. And that's what he does here. So it's I think it's a risky move by SyDe potentially to do that. But maybe it's not the worst one. But I can't see him getting teamed now by Alien and Junker.
Yeah, and I would say Yanker should have had more towers in his main, right? Like he only had 2 towers on each side. He had obviously had enough golden wood to have another 3 or 4 towers on each side, which would have, you know, largely stopped that rush. But as you said, he's still in a fine position with how much gold he has, and the fact that a new towered base is coming up here. Yeah, Alien's game looks very solid right now. Check out the Shadow Hunter up here, guys. 2 Khadgar's gems and Dependent of Mana. 1500 health, 700 mana. Amazing. Of course, that's the hero that you're going to be targeting mostly when you're facing Orc, is the Shadow Hunter. Of course, you're not going to be targeting the TC once he's level 6, hardly ever. You can try to snipe the Blade Master when you can, but the Shadow Hunter is going to be the big target. So very well chosen items and found items from Alien there on the Shadow Hunter. And really everybody. The Amulet of Spell Shield on the Tauren Chieftain is amazing. Of course, the first thing you do when facing Orc is sleep the TC, right, to prevent that big stomp. So that Amulet of Spell Shield is going to be very annoying to deal with. And then I think he's just probably looking for a Claws 12 or another Helm of Valor, something like that for his Blade Master.
Yeah, he's only at plus 14. That's not really like too strong so far.
Right, definitely needs some more damage on that.
And sometimes, yeah, that's the issue on a map like this with high tier item markets, that you need to decide whether you want to go for very strong permanent items, or if you decide to still leave some space for invuls, which can be more valuable in some situations still. So
right. So
yeah.
Let's see if he can get a Death and Decay off here without being hexed. Not the best Death and Decay.
Yeah, I think SyDe should peace soon here. It's too risky here. He's losing too much gold. He has all these mines and doesn't want to get teamed.
I think SyDe could have switched the Amulet of Spell Shield onto the Lich, the one that he had on his Dreadlord, to prevent the Hex from stopping the Death and Decay.
That's pretty...
But he had no item slot, right? And I don't think you can pass items from the Lich to another hero without canceling the Death and Decay. So.
Oh yeah, I just mean before he casted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Alien in a very, very good position now.
Yeah, Junker should ask for peace. I'm not sure why he isn't doing that. I mean, would be the obvious solution here.
Maybe he wants Alien to attack SyDe.
Yeah.
Where if he pieces with SyDe, maybe he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though. Alien just cleaning up these expansions up here.
Exactly.
These
There's
are still
still
open.
so many gold mines for SyDe, but none is really mining.
Oh yeah, side. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Yeah, these ones are still pretty much full. So maybe smart again that he went aggressive with these expansions up here because his naturals now both have 10 and 12,000 in them. It's unlikely that the orc is going to expand here or here at any time in this game.
Alien is breaking
Oh.
upkeep. He's up at 80. Is he preparing for something?
Well, he doesn't have any other expansions, right? Oh, I guess he still has this expansion.
Yeah, but on one expo, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you're 80 or 50. So I guess it could make sense for him to attack now just to get... Just to make sure, like, he sees that SyDe has a lot of expos here. So maybe he's scared that SyDe is getting too much XP, too much gold.
And here's exactly what Alien is saying there.
Yeah. Yeah, he could decide to, if he believes that Janker is out of gold, which he's not, he could try to finish Janker. But at this point, honestly, I don't think Janker will die anytime soon. So with 70k, he's pretty much alive.
Pretty good FFA sense from SyDe to know that Janker is still rich. He said he has 20k. He's got 17.
Yeah.
You can tell he's learning free for all and already getting a good sense of the game with that comment.
Yeah. And that's something that most people struggle with on ladder. Like, it's difficult to get a real sense for gold counts, but if you count expos, you should get a pretty... If you just need to know if a player was on 50 or 100 for the most part, but apart from that, you could just count expos, and you should get a sense of the gold count. So, yeah.
Right. Another I think reason why Alien wanted to go 80 food and maybe start fighting is to also disguise his gold count a little bit, right? Like you want to be fighting some, like he hoarded at 50 for a while and got some gold. No one saw it or called him out on it, right? So the first time they see him, he's got an army and fighting. So maybe subconsciously he doesn't know that. Whereas if he stayed 50, then maybe he would say, "Oh, what about Alien? Is he still 50 food?" And they would think maybe he has more gold.
Yeah, and he's showing
of a
his
mind
army
game there.
here. Yeah, good point. I definitely think that's useful. If you don't mine anymore on more than one expo, it's definitely useful to break 50, just so people don't call you out on 50.
Right. So for SyDe, if I was SyDe right now, what I would be doing is looking for 2 more Amulet of Spell Shields. So there's 4 markets on this map, and of course an Amulet of Spell Shield is the absolute best item in the game, hands down. And he's got one on his Dreadlord. If he has one on his Death Knight and his Lich, it's going to make his heroes that more difficult to kill and to disable. And I mean, really, all 3 players, you would want an Amulet on all heroes, but especially on Undead, facing 2 high-level orcs.
So we see a Zeppelin. Is that just for scouting, or will he drop something?
Where do you see it? I don't. It's too big of a...
Here. So,
Okay, I guess he's just, I mean, unlike yesterday, there are labs here, so it's useful. It doesn't cost you any supply to just have a Zeppelin ready with an Acolyte somewhere out on the map, just in case you have to rebuild, so you don't die like Seksi did yesterday. So, sorry.
little shot over there.
Yeah, no Zeppelins on the map I chose.
Yeah, but that's always something to do in a map like this. Can save you a game so easily just to have an Acolyte and a Zeppelin somewhere. Obviously, you can also hide all heroes in a Zeppelin and pretend to be dead. That's something some people do sometimes, but usually it's about hiding Acolytes or casters late game.
So High-Tech, we're in the 3-way now officially. What are your thoughts on the 3-way? Like, what do you think these players should be doing, or what do you think they're thinking right now, preparing how to best handle this 3-way?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, for now, I think they want to make sure that SyDe is not on all these expos anymore. Like, that will be my top priority, and to make sure that Alien is not, like, you would expect that Alien with the best levels here has also most gold. So you need to attack someone with 100 supply, and I guess that's what's going to happen at some point. And yeah, SyDe is looking for another spell shield here, but only shitty items. And he's getting attacked.
And right, you just call them out. And I think when it comes to these 3-ways, especially this magnitude of game, the players will be a little bit passive. They're going to scout and maybe not try to make the wrong move. I like that if you see on the map here, Alien is, you know, dotting the map with these sentry wards everywhere. So he's going to see what's going on. But yeah, like you said, iTech, he's checking SyDe a little bit by destroying that expansion, still kind of being friendly in the chat. And it'll be interesting because, you know, sometimes you have to retaliate and sometimes you don't, right? And the diplomacy in there can have, you know, a greater effect as the game goes on.
That's like the best element of FFA. I was questioning yesterday, like, why would you ever say the truth in FFA? And today, SyDe is doing it. And, shows to be Mr. Nice Guy once again.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Like, it can really backfire, and also FFA sometimes doesn't end with the official game. So even what you say before the game, what you say after the game, can be considered, can be held against you sometimes.
That's
so
awesome.
So it's really like your personality. There's a lot that plays into it, and it, yeah.
It's a little bit like a wrestler who is pretending to be like the wrestling character.
Exactly.
Outside
Yes.
the ring. Yeah.
It is. So players have a personality, and the way they play can play into it. Sometimes you utilize the fact that players think you're the nice one, because in many cases, as we see right here, a player has to decide who to attack. So someone like Alien has to decide now, is he going to attack Janker or is he going to attack SyDe? So while in this situation everyone has gold, he knows that, so it doesn't really make a difference. But in other situations you may decide based on your impression of that player. So if that player is an aggressive one, or on ladder, if it's a player that's continuously manipping against you, you will try to finish that player first. Just as an example.
I think that it can bode well. Like if SyDe is going to tell the truth and be nice the whole game, well, then when he wants to come up with the one lie that's going to help him out in the end, maybe the players will believe him more. Whereas if someone's just blatantly manipulating and throwing lies and bullshit out there all game, of course you're going to be less likely to believe them. You know, like the boy who cried wolf or whatnot when they need help or when they say they're broke. Another interesting manipulation, if you guys see in the chat, basically Janker asked if he could take this expansion right here, and he said, SyDe, can I have this mine? You're already super rich. And then SyDe said, okay, and then he took it. So just by saying that, right, SyDe basically agreed with his statement that he was super rich, and then that also made Janker seem like he wasn't also super rich, which of course he is. So maybe that's going to subconsciously affect Alien's thoughts of SyDe having much more gold than Janker, or even SyDe thinking that he has much more gold than Janker, just based on that little exchange there.
And I guess SyDe was just in love with this market, finding his second spell shield. So
nice.
Yeah, his items are getting crazier and crazier here.
Yeah, he could, let's see here. He could improve his inventory a little bit. His Lich could get rid of the Medallion of Courage and pick up a spell shield. Possibly sell the Prep to Vitality for a Khadgar's Gem if he finds that. And so investing in items is so important in free-for-all. I guess we haven't gone over it that much. It probably goes without saying that, you know, you return a lot of value exponentially as the game goes on with these items, because you're going to use your heroes from start to finish. And then as your heroes grow in levels, of course, their stats grow, so the items become even more beneficial. But in free-for-all, a lot of times it is your heroes that carry you. I mean, similar to solo, right? Like once you get higher level heroes. So it's almost always worth it to stack your heroes the best you possibly can. First and foremost, you know, instead of investing into an army, at least as a priority.
And Neo, do you think sometimes, because parry, like the item that peaks out most, to me at least, that is not used at all in one-on-ones, and that is used a lot in FFA is, or are parries of Vitality. Do you think they might be underrated a bit in one-on-one?
Yeah, Remo is of the same opinion than you are, especially since the meta is shifting a little bit to tanky heroes like the TC and the Mountain King, who are kind of dominating several matchups right now. I think it would be a very good idea, especially for like low-level TCs if you add him as a third hero. It's kind of cheap, right? So why not?
Yeah, and it's a lot of HP. So
Yeah, it's a very good bang for your buck. I agree.
still a 4-way. Yeah, Ilares is still in this. He has a tree here. He has a wisp here, and one lonely ancient protector here. So there's another tree. Yeah. So he needs some gold if he wants to get his heroes back ever.
My
And-
observer skills, right? So on point.
Yeah. And that's a nice thing in FFA. Like, there's so many times we see a player coming back. Maybe like he's in a really, really bad spot right now. But many, many times we see comebacks simply because players are flying under the radar for 1 hour. And if you try hard and just stay in the game, and on ladder, obviously it happens more often because usually you don't have many players on ladder that have a great FFA sense and that try to finish a player for a lot of time or long time. So comebacks is really a great thing of FFA. So comebacks are more frequent.
So to me, it feels like Alien is choking outside a bit because of a couple of gold mines, and now, okay, attacking into the base. So
Yeah.
peace is over.
At some point, yeah, someone that's like the foundation of FFA. If everyone just camps and doesn't want to spend gold, it will never end potentially. So at some point, someone needs to attack, and Alien is taking over here.
So SyDe is defending with the 100 food, as you can see, going up to 100, preparing his Frostworms with anti-magic shield. I will say this, that Orc is if you have some of the best Orc players, and Alien is definitely arguably the best Orc player, I would say, fighting-wise, at least in current times, with stacked items and good hero levels. It is going to be difficult for SyDe to dominate these fights, and if SyDe doesn't play very well, one quick mistake between Hex and Stomp and these big crits, Orc can dominate these fights faster than you may expect. Interesting, another Infernal Stone from SyDe on his Dreadlord. Did I see that there? Or yeah, his Death Knight.
Yeah, on his Death Knight, yeah.
The third one, so of course he has double Infernal between the ultimate from the Dreadlord.
But now a fight breaking out here between Alien and Janker.
Pretty much a mirror match. Oh, Shadowhunter is in trouble, gets crit 350 critical strike. Oh yeah, now we're talking. That's super good for SyDe. He's coming in right now, is ready to fight, and his opponents are all bruised up.
So both Alien and Yanker went down to about 50 food, pretty even fight there. Of course, are they both lost their hero? Oh no, just Alien lost his Shadowhunter. Probably a little worse for him. Yeah, and these fights happen so fast versus Orc. You want to make sure you have the critical skills down. You want to make sure you can land a Hex on their Shadowhunter, land the first Stomp, land the first spells to get rid of the Bloodlust. Make sure your hero links are spirit linked. There's not a whole lot of individual unit micro when these heroes are so strong. So you want to preserve your heroes, focus theirs. Obviously try to defend against bats and things like that. But the DPS is just insane when Orc gets leveled in free-for-all.
So here's the counter attack by SyDe, taking out a mine or some towers. Of course, there's nothing really to kick. It's just a sign that, okay, bro, I'm ready. Let's go. A little bit of revenge as well.
And Ilares is trying to chat a bit about Reforged Ladder. He has time now, so I guess.
I think he wants to make some friends in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I don't know why the elf is still staying here. Like, you might as well just go watch the stream, but...
I mean, you never know. Like, even if he has only... Like, even if your chance is, let's say, 0.2%, like, it's a chance. So if you're a true tryhard, why give it up?
I think he is having a lot of fun right now. You forgot a worm, here we go, giving a little bit of advice, even though he is obviously the loser of this game.
And
plus he was saying in his first FML final, he made it past, the hour mark without dying, so...
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes it's interesting because sometimes you hold grudges if you get rushed early on and someone is really mean to you in the game, like you feel really angry and you want to pay back. But if the game lasts that long, like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, after 2 or 3 hours, you have forgotten anything that happened after like 20 minutes. So it doesn't really matter anymore. So that's how, like, just because of the time, it can shift and your emotions can shift. Sometimes you feel annoyed or you feel tired after 2 hours. So it's a lot that can happen in 2 hours.
So let's talk about army composition a little bit. Obviously, with the orc player going a lot of bats, SyDe has lessened the amount of gargs that he's using. He only has 5 gargoyles here, where he's more heavier on worms and destroyers. I like this move. Bats are inefficient against a frostworm with 3 armor upgrades. You really should only use bats on light air. However, you don't want to go pure worms and destroyers as undead. Because a Wind Rider army will crush that army. You need to have some gargoyles mixed in there that forces the orc player to use bats. With scroll use, with nukes, with stone form, you know, you can avoid some bats and still have some standing against the Wind Riders, which then makes your heavy air much more useful.
That's pretty smart indeed. Yeah, I think it's like 4 bats for a worm like this, or 3 maybe. Yeah, that's pretty.
And this is a good fight for SyDe, for sure.
A lot of bats unused. Now they detonate.
Interesting. Using the Shadowhunter ultimate here, guys. You see this?
Yep. Big bat
He's got to get out of there now, though.
New bat riders are coming in. Detonates pretty much immediately. But the worms just don't fall anymore.
Yeah.
Sleep on the Blade Master, so lack of damage for sure. Oh boy, big Carrion Swarm, big Nova. Quite some losses in the end.
Not a great fight from the orc there. It looks like he was a little bit unprepared. He did take out, you know, 25, 27 food of the undead, but of course he's down to 22 food himself. I would have liked him to see run away from that fight, speed scroll or TP or otherwise. You want to have like a sentry ward on the undead army before you engage. Therefore you can line up your bats, therefore you can line up your hex and stomp combo. I think he was a bit surprised and unready for that fight. It hurt him there.
16k, so he should be able to rebuild in time. SyDe has some mercy.
Oh yeah, he's far from over here.
Yeah.
TC level 7, and I think he hasn't used his ultimate, right? So he's
I
still...
don't think so either.
Yeah.
Nope.
So he's not producing. Alien's not producing at all.
Now he is.
He's gonna rely on his towers and his heroes. Okay, there we go.
And this
Yeah,
TC might die.
Cripple on the TC. Cripple and the slow from the Frostworm.
Oh, that was
Negating the level 3 Endurance Aura.
such a nice Infernal by SyDe as well, stopping the Shadowhunter from casting Heal Wave. So forcing to another TP.
Double Infernal on the... He needs to heal this one. Oh, lost it.
It's like Refresher Stone in Dota.
So without any gargoyles, you can see that the correct move is to build Wind Riders. He doesn't build more bats because there's no gargoyles. So these Wind Riders, with his focus fire, he will be able to take out these worms and destroyers if he's careful. Combination of the towers and his heroes.
And there's no mana anymore on the Dreadlord, that hurts. There's a lot of Nova though. Shouldn't overcommit, I guess.
So quickly, I'd like to point out a comment I made before where maybe it was actually to Junkerzam's advantage that he lost his main early, right? Yeah. Well, now Alien is fighting SyDe, and if you look at Junker, he's got 25,000 gold. He's on 50 food, and he's, you know, going rather unnoticed compared to these two players. So all of a sudden, the tides have turned, and, you know, everyone's in a pretty good spot, I'd say, but Junker's definitely in a very good spot.
Alien asking for help here.
Yeah, he's
Or at
asking
least counter aggression. Oh, I love this chat in FFA, it's so cool.
And if someone wonders why Junker is riding with like these, why his chat looks so awkward, it's because he is too lazy to like set up to have a nice walkie setup. So like his chat is the worst.
Yeah, he uses his space bar for a hotkey, therefore he doesn't have it available.
It's a nice little signature move, though.
Yeah, right. So I mean, to be honest, Alien's asking Young for help, right? But he doesn't really need to help him. Like, he doesn't, like, what's the point? He knows Alien has a lot of gold. He has a lot of gold himself, and purple orc heroes are high enough to where he's going to be able to feel comfortable fighting the undead with that much gold. Probably doesn't feel the need to save Alien so much. Now, there's an argument to weaken the undead, right? Still establish your position, but maybe he wants to wait a little bit. Maybe he wants to have Alien, who, keep in mind, is also his opponent, right? Be weakened more before he potentially goes to save him.
SyDe is still mining from a base at the moment. But I guess it's not an issue for Junker.
And the only
Silent from the Dreadlord Death Knight.
yeah, and the only risk here really for Junker, if you don't help, it's also a sign that you are kind of strong, like that you feel confident and that you want. So I think it's a good call here by Junker, but at some point he will need to help. But yet, I mean, Alien is still on 13k gold. He forced the TP, so he's all right.
Right. And you saw that Junker now is breaking upkeep, right? Why is he breaking upkeep? Well, he just mined out his last mine. So no need to be in 50 food anymore. He can go up to 100 food now for the rest of the game. Well, I mean, assuming that he doesn't get one of these gold mines. But he's been patient. He rebuilt in a good spot here. Again, his hero levels are still very good. I mean, only level 5 TC, level 6 barely Shadow Hunter. But of course, with this much gold and those kind of items, the hero levels are all gonna, continue to grow close to 10, 10, 10 for these players.
And SyDe is still looking for his third spell shield, but he's passing on the Pendant of Mana.
In the in the chat, guys, everyone's copying Yanker's signature style now. The space bar. Hey, so while we have a little break, a little breather in this game, I just want to say it's been really awesome to see the response from yesterday's free-for-all game, the semifinal. That was casted by both of you guys, of course. I know we had almost 2,500 viewers at one point. We have, it looks like about 1,700 viewers now. And I would say overwhelmingly the comments were supportive and positive, and it's nice to see, because really this game type is very intricate. It is a skill-based game type. A lot of times people just kind of deem it as merely luck and maybe write it off, but there's definitely a lot of skill and every kind of skill, including the diplomacy and things like that you mentioned, Neil. It's a lot of fun, and it's nice to have the exposure, and just know that we have a community we've been playing this for years. We host games every single day. A lot of people love this game type, and it doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere with Pad's Ladder adding it soon, and obviously FML seasons continuing to run.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome yesterday. I got several DMs, including you, like how cool it was and what a nice move. And I had so much fun casting. Also, like 2 hours is totally fine. Like usually we do 4 to sometimes 14 hours, so it was super chill.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
No. Even when I got enough drinks here. The response on YouTube was superb. The comments were really good, and also click-wise, I think we got more clicks than the ESL Cup semifinal in, like, I don't know, 15 hours or so. It was pretty sick. Really happy to provide the stage for FFA right now.
Yeah, thanks for that. Like, it's really appreciated. I mean, we are aware that it's not for everyone, and it will, like, not everyone is open to play that long of a game, but it's still nice, like, since to feel part of the Warcraft 3 community eventually, since apparently we don't get millions of new players after Reforged. It's like, that was the hope, right? Like, before Reforged, we were thinking, okay, maybe it will not become Dota, but maybe it's going to be a huge thing, like, in comparison to what it was. But like, there we are, and it's not like the situation is pretty good. Like it's Warcraft 3 is pretty alive, and so it's nice still to have this, like to be part of the overall Warcraft 3 family as an FFA community.
How welcoming is your community?
It's
Oh,
we
wait,
see a
have
fight here.
shoot! Like, yeah. Sorry, let's postpone that a little. PC's stomping into nowhere.
Yeah, this army is countering the undead army here, guys. There's so many wyvern. I mean, double infernal stone, sure, but the orc army is very strong against the undead right now.
He's trying to nuke the heroes. That was a
Yeah,
big bad
okay.
voodoo. Immediately countered, but SyDe is falling down to 40 supply. Lost all, TP out, he says it.
Yeah,
There was a lot of experience for Junker.
yeah, 50 supply lost by SyDe, only 10 for Janker. That was a good fight here. These are the fights he
Yeah.
has to take.
He pretty much only lost his bats. But again, the undead had 0 gargs, and the orc had 12 wyvern, right? Or wind riders.
Yeah.
So the undead should have TP'd out, overconfident, or maybe didn't understand the army composition he was facing. Even wasted the infernal stone. Of course, he's fine, but yeah, nice fight from Junker, and a bit of a mistake there from the undead player side.
And now he's pumping Gargs, but needs to be careful here to not lose too many buildings.
Yeah, you absolutely need Gargs. The Frostworm Destroyer army will just lose so hard to Mass Wind Riders.
So we got 6 Gargs, I guess. Trying to stall a little for more time for the entire control group. Trying to zone him out a little with Nova. Carrion Swarm, but that's a gear ward against it, so... It doesn't do
Look how
too
weak
much.
the undead base is, right, compared to these orcs. Like, even if he had a bunch of towers, it'd be weak, but it's a big difference in these races. You know, he can't just turtle in his base. He will lose his base if he can't defend this.
Yeah, that sounds so surreal to a solo player. Look how weak this undead base is. Like, usually the strongest in one-on-one for sure.
Right, right. Yeah, the difference being fortified towers, of course, of orc in mass.
These
So-
little crypts are turning into a problem, I guess. That's a decent amount of guards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think SyDe should still be throwing Carrion Swarms and Novas. He still has really high-level heroes and Staff of Silence and Amulet Spell Shield, so he should be engaging and trying to kill these casters with Nova and Swarm.
And now he's TPing out. No more mana on the
Yeah.
SH. And getting back to your question, so in general, like we're happy about every new player. I think the FML community is a great mix of clan, but still league and community, and the people stick around for years. And some people abandon the community for a year, then they return. But it's a really nice place to be. But like welcoming, it's like we welcome everyone. But it's also, it can be frustrating for new players to get flamed after a game, because you don't play for yourself, so it's easy for you to ruin the game for others too. So that's a common reason for players to get frustrated quickly, because you may get flamed sometimes, but it's also a release valve. So especially in in-house games or some on ladder, like no one cares if you insult someone. So in one-on-one you may get banned from a league or something, and in FFA, like most players are just used to getting flamed, because there are more emotions usually than you would see in any one-on-one game, so it's kind of normal. So you need to embrace it.
Yeah, and I'd say that there's some bad apples, anywhere you go.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, true.
But typically when solo players come in, I think they're very well welcomed. We want skilled players in the community, and especially those that really care. Like we've had throughout the years, 15 to 20 solo pros come and play an FML season, or do this or that, and a lot of them either don't adapt, or maybe they'll be teamed out in one game and they'll say, like screw this, and they won't ever play again. But it's nice to see players like SyDe and like Neutron also, who have adapted, and they've lost games in certain ways. They've made mistakes. They've learned from it. They've been teamed out. Maybe they, didn't understand a sense of the game, but they continue to learn. They have good personalities, and obviously you can see here potentially with both those players going to be in the final in their first season, which is good to see.
Yeah, they're both pretty smart players, and maybe a little frustrated with the solo situation at the moment. And then to have like an outlet where they can kick some butt, I guess that's really nice for them.
Yeah, sure. Sure. And that's also what's cool about free for all is like, from both ends. Like, let's say you're a player that's not quite as strong, you can play free for all, and anybody can win in free for all, right? Like you can play smarter and make better decisions, and and plus there's a little bit of luck involved, so anybody can win in free for all, and I think that gives you a chance. Plus you're going to have big armies, 3 heroes above level 6, 80 food, 100 food, switch army compositions, lots of gold.
The perfect example for that is I went to a LAN in Sweden with the pros of Sweden, like Team Sweden. It was Thorzane and Little DC and Knopf and all these guys. And I made
Okay.
top 3. I'm a total uber noob in Warcraft, but I still made top 3 with all the pros, so FFA is awesome for that indeed.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Oh, and there he is, finally.
Oh.
Like, it took 1 hour, 11 minutes, but now finally he can go to watch the newest Rick and Morty episode. I've seen it already, so he should definitely do that.
All right, guys.
So have him once again rookie bracket a limit first, but
yeah, it's to be expected, obviously. Like you're just too nervous in your first. Like it's only his 5th competitive FFA match, and that's like if you compare it to someone like Alien, who has probably had, I don't know, 200 of competitive FFA matches. I don't know. It's just a different tier after all.
it seemed like he had a lot of fun though.
Yeah, I hope. So another attack here, potentially 100 supply for Janker, who's moving towards SyDe's main base here. And interesting. And Alien is down to 11k gold, but yeah, we'll see what's worth it. And I will get another beer.
SyDe's position doesn't feel that great, right? He's got 12k gold. His hero levels are pretty good, but his base is very weak. He would have liked to have either better hero levels or more gold at this point. And as far as army composition, I think Janker has the best army composition, and it showed that. He had so many Wyvern where he just decimated SyDe's army, compared to when Alien fought SyDe up here. Alien wasn't prepared and didn't take that fight as well. So just those small differences, those small fights, shows a big advantage to Janker. And then as far as the undead player, I mean, you're not going to probably win if you're going to take big fights versus both of these orc players consecutively. So he's definitely going to have to be smart with his remaining gold, because although, hey, he has 12,000 gold, right, and he has level 7 heroes, he should win the game. But in reality, compared to both of these players and compared to their main bases, he's probably the most vulnerable right now.
Is there a way to bait the 2 orcs into a mirror match?
Sure, and the undead should try it. Yeah. Like Janker has been manipulating pretty well throughout the chat, talking about how he's broke and this and that.
Yeah.
But eventually, either side has to maybe let Alien know, or try to get Alien to attack the orc, or have them collide, or maybe side has to just be very patient and sit in his base, because both of these orc players right now, even though side is obviously has better micro than either of these players, I think they probably see each other as the orcs as the main threat, especially after the fight that Janker had against side and having 20k gold. I mean, even though it's side, it is still undead, and when facing high level orc and free for all, not quite as scary.
Alien was poking a bit into Junker territory, killing some wards, just letting him know, hey, I'm still there, man.
What did I miss? I got a new beer. Has anyone won yet?
No, we just
new
a little about the situation. All good.
New flens. So.
Oh man, it's one of the best sounds in the world.
So I want to touch on something we were talking about before, as far as game length. What we're watching here, guys, is the semifinal, in a league type format. So these players are all going to play to win at any cost, right? So there's going to be typically more chat, more manipulation, more stalling, and that just comes to the territory, right? So this game will likely be longer. It's already been an hour 15. But typically, if you're getting into the free for all and you're worried about having to pay 2-hour games every time, I'd say on average game length is around 45 minutes, maybe north of an hour, hour 15 on ladder or even in in-house games. But yeah, when everything's on the line and people play it so patiently and so passively, these games do last longer. I just don't want people to think that they always are multiple hours. I mean, you can get these games done in 30 to 45 minutes in ladder.
Yeah. And also it's if one of 3 players is willing to accelerate the game, and if you start to just pump units over and over, naturally it's going to be quicker. So yeah, good point.
The game goes super long, like the before mentioned 4 to 6 hours yesterday. You mentioned yesterday. Is there like a break to get some food in between?
I mean, I think Seksi casted one of these games on a comparatively small map in season 27 or 8, and that was a phase like if you have certain players in a match, and there are some players that have a play style they just don't like to spend their gold, and if you have 2 of these players in a match, they just don't spend their gold, so they just sit, and they prefer to sit for an hour, even if that means that's the best chance for winning, then they will sit. I would say from a casting perspective, it's nice this season to have like here many players that are not willing to sit for 3 hours. So and that's most like it's we have had very few games that lasted more than 4 hours, but it's also some like on YouTube if you check the FML videos. It's kind of fun to have like one video that lasts 6 hours, and some people argue it's really bad advertisement for the community to have this video on the YouTube channel, and no one will ever watch it fully from start to finish. But it's also like it shows a try-hardness, and we have there are 2 main discussions or arguments in the FML community. First of all is whether we should have timers in our games, and there are some...
Not to interrupt you, High Tech, but let's see this big
Oh
fight
yeah,
real quick.
There is one. Yeah, sorry.
All right, SyDe is under pressure once again as Junker is pushing into his base. Oh man, there was a massive carrion swarm.
Nova Swarm, but the bats were spirit linked. Oh, decimating the Gargs.
Oh wow. Once again, the trouble, like how is he taking care of these Wyvern after the first engagement, losing worms as well? The heal ward
all
is
the
so
cards
good.
there. Yep.
Down to 60
Alien
as well. Here comes Alien though.
Quick TP. Doesn't use the bats.
He could have used it after that swarm, but now he's going for side here. Easy XP.
Really?
308 crit, and yeah, that's 877 already.
Interesting.
Yeah, why not weaken the undead now, where he has no units? So good situation here for Alien.
I guess Alien feels confident right now with his gold count and his hero levels.
But he needs to be... I think he's underestimating Janker's gold potentially. We'll see.
Yeah. And again, SyDe showing some inexperience in handling this kind of army with gargoyles. You absolutely need to stone form your gargoyles as the bats are approaching, and then throw some nuke volleys and unstone form when you're ready. Hit and run. You try to take the fight head on. All his gargoyles were clumped into one. He literally lost every gargoyle to like 4 or 5 bats in that, like maybe 20 food if you guys saw that from a gargoyle clump. Really hurt him.
Not that one player making micro mistakes.
Yeah, man, but
right,
but it's different though, right? Like these army compositions and hero levels are so much different.
Yeah.
He's not used to fighting like this. So frankly, micro at this kind of level with this army compositions, you know, it's just going to be different.
Yeah, this could cost SyDe a lot of gold here, because it's usually if you're under pressure and you just pump units quickly and need to rebuild, you tend to just you tend to produce and build stuff more carelessly, so you just waste your gold. So you can easily go from 6k to 1k gold in this situation. But I do think Alien will pull back at some point here. There's too much on the line, and he sees Janker coming across the map here. So I guess he may peace now. We'll see.
Undead is food blocked. He does have a Acolyte in the Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But yeah, really tough spot. He can't comfortably beat either of the Orc players in a one-on-one fight now. He's also got the weakest base and the lowest hero levels.
These Watcher Wards are a massive deal, right? But we have an Orc Mirror once again. Are they going to commit now? Oh, they absolutely are. This could cost Junker quite a bit. We have more and more bats, but oh my, that's so much damage. Big Bad Voodoo now cancelled. But Alien down to 40, and Junker's not losing too much. Big Bad Voodoo on his side now. Oh, here's the silence. Safe into an in-roll.
Blade Master being targeted. X.
Focus fire continues, but I think it's enough. Oh no, the storm. 5 seconds. Bye. Bye. Needs another hex, so finish it.
So another big fight from Junkerzam, who's getting the best of Alien in these Orc mirrors. Interesting enough, you saw that the purple Orc. Oh, Shadowhunters. Oh, silence.
Needs to TP out. Is it in time though? Another hex. More right click. The Wyvern are there. Not only the blade, but also the Shadowhunter falls.
But now, yeah, Junker will get teamed for this 100% now. Yeah.
Right. So nice fight there. Interesting enough, you see a difference of strategy there. Junker, the purple Orc, decided to use the Shadowhunter ultimate in the back of the line to start the fight. So now when you're facing bats, the Shadowhunter ultimate is very good, of course, because you cannot blow up the bats on your Wind Riders because they're protected by the ultimate. Now, if he can hex the Big Bad Voodoo, that works, but his Shadowhunter here has the Amulet of Spell Shield, which prevented that. So that really gave him a huge advantage. He didn't lose any of his air while he was putting 100% DPS on Alien's army there, which really made a big difference. Now, a downside of Big Bad Voodoo is it does cancel all spells, right? Including your friendly spells. So it cancels your Spirit Link and your Bloodlust. But of course, if the Shadowhunter's not going to be disabled, your units are invulnerable. So really nice fight there from Junker. Not only getting the best of Alien in that fight, but also getting the best of SyDe here so far. Really strong fighting performance from Junker.
And we shouldn't forget to mention that Alien is again the only player here, like you yesterday, that is playing on probably roughly 200 milliseconds of ping. So it's a big disadvantage in these fights. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, but yeah, I guess that's our life.
Yeah, it's worth noting both Alien and I are US West, so we're going to play with, 200, 220, 240 ping in these games. I think that we're used to it from playing for so long, but yeah, it definitely makes a difference in last-minute hero saves and just overall probably feel of micro. But, what can you do about that?
Maybe some new servers, maybe the return of host bots.
No, that's impossible. I don't think that's possible. I don't think if servers are possible. Like, you can only have 3 servers, I think, for Warcraft 3. I don't think
Okay, yeah.
Maybe too costly.
Too
I think 20 bucks per month is too much, I think. So US East, I think you would probably even spend more than 22 bucks for an US East server. So I don't think that's possible.
I have to stream for like 1 hour for that.
Yeah.
Really rough.
Ooh, and SyDe needs to be careful here. 85 supply blocked. He definitely needs to get some Ziggs up here and maybe get more than his one Zeppelin. Where's his Zeppelin? Oh yeah, he uses the Acolyte because he lost his Acolytes. He only has that one Acolyte left that was in the Zeppelin, so he needs to be very careful. And
he rebuilds another in the main as well.
Yeah, and now he's going to fight here.
So let's see if he can protect his Gargs from these bats.
No! Not really. Nope. Same mistake again. Oh boy, level 8, 9, and 9. He's trading an Infernal once more.
Yeah, SyDe should stick to his ground style maybe. Stoneform not on point here, and this is not a good fight for him.
Bladestorm as well going into the back line, and again, I think for the 3rd or 4th time, lost all.
Yeah, it's frustrating here in this situation, but Orc is just very strong with gold and items, so...
we're even going Tauren now. I didn't see the transition until now.
Yeah, and potentially, like, at some point, Junker might try to finish SyDe here.
He might as well at this point, right? With how much gold he has.
Yeah. So SyDe could as well just try to get out of his main base right now, because, like, he doesn't want to lose all his heroes here.
Alien is still reviving his heroes. Getting the Blade Master back now, or is he trolling? Wait for the Shadow Hunt. Oh, it's back now. That cost some money as well. So Junker has 6 heroes, 6 supply, and the most gold by far. How can you stop him?
I think his 6k gold is not that much of a lead if you... Like, unless he's really going up in a one-on-one against Alien. 6k gold advantage are not too much if you're getting teamed, which he certainly will at this point. So it's up to his Alien to help now, and we see him walking across the map, so he's coming in and will be able to help in time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Orc gets to a point where it's so difficult to fight with Undead, especially if you're at a disadvantage. Once hero level, it's so difficult. I mean, even if you fight perfectly, you know, granted, SyDe has not been fighting very well. You know, not using Stone Form, maybe not using nukes as well. And of course, SyDe is an awesome player, but he hasn't faced, frankly, high-level Orc free-for-all, so he really doesn't have the experience fighting it. And it shows. But again, it's so difficult once Orc gets like this to fight with Undead.
Alien is here, but Junker just TP's out, losing pretty much nothing after killing the Dreadlord and taking out a lot of this base.
But now SyDe can breathe, and they will team Junker for some time now. So that's a disadvantage now for Junker. Like, at this point, he will get teamed now, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see. And getting back to my earlier point, just the 2 discussion points in the FFA community. First of all is timer on maps, because some people like to have a timer. And we have that in some cups. But I, for example, I don't like 5-hour matches, but I don't like timers either, because it takes some of the fun away, some of the base races, if you just have a 1-hour or 2-hour timer. So I'm not a big fan of that, because players just play differently if they know that there's a timer in the game. That's why we don't have an FML competition. And the second argument is no chat against chat games. And while many people say in a match like yesterday, that's why we want no chat games. But if with good FFA players, it doesn't even matter that much. It's an additional challenge to play no chat because you have to scout more. But the players will look similar because good players can balance the game no matter if people ask for help or if they scout that the player needs help. So it doesn't make a huge difference. And also something I read in YouTube comments, anonymous FFA makes sense on ladder for sure. That's what we want on ladder. But in competitive FFA, in this game, everyone would know after 10 minutes who is who. So it doesn't really matter if it's anonymous or not. And for us, it will be worse because we couldn't cast it.
So they know by the playstyle and especially like the way they type. I mean, for Junker, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure.
So even though they're going to be teaming Junker, and he could definitely make a mistake here and lose a hero, he has a great base, he has great heroes, he has a lot of gold, and the Undead is pretty crippled.
Wow.
Nice bats there, these Wyverns will be saved. Nice time for the SH ultimate there.
And it's speeding up here.
Oh man, that's pretty sick indeed.
Oh,
As
nice.
the Lich just being deleted, now TP out. That was quite some damage done.
Yeah, and Junker is starting to bulldoze, so it's now very important. Like at some point you are not you attempt to get more careless with your gold because you have so much of it. But at this point it can, because fights only last a few seconds, and as we saw, Junker just crushed both of them, and it can backfire very quickly. So they will need to act quickly now and try to not take bad fights. Simply because Junker is so stacked and has the gold advantage. But it's only a slight gold advantage, so I think Alien is still in a decent spot here. Because he doesn't get teamed right now. But yeah, SyDe needs to be careful, and I think he should leave his main base here. He should focus on rebuilding. And that's a mistake he did in previous rounds, that he tried to keep his main base alive for too long. At some point, you just can't. And it takes too much resources.
He doesn't have the ability to TP anywhere, right? He doesn't have another Necropolis. He could lose everything here.
Yeah, he needs to get away ASAP. At least he has a spell shield, but this Dreadlord is pretty toast. So
I mean, the Death Knight's gonna die too if he stomps him.
Yeah.
Oh boy, 5 seconds. Here we go. Raining damage 364.
That
And
might
another
stand too
hex.
if he gets a hex on him.
Yep.
He
It's an
used the
invul.
Amethyst Spell Shield once.
He needs alien here. Where's the alien?
He's
Death
coming
Knight's
from the
gonna be
top
dead,
now.
guys.
Doesn't look
TP
good.
to the main
TP out.
base though, right?
Ooh,
Not
yeah.
gonna do much.
Pretty obvious, far in the back. So now it's time for Alien to engage, but he's just busy in the north, just dodging. And now teaming up against SyDe.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. That would be a huge
Okay,
mistake.
he was just attacking. Okay.
Yeah.
Lich is back. Let's see if SyDe can survive his heroes here. Lich being focused. Quick coil.
Blade-Master's not in this yet. Here he comes. 100
Yeah,
back.
Alien needs
Nice
help
block.
here. Lich is dead.
Sweet block by the Torrent. No way out for the Lich.
Smart TP.
And Alien knows now that Janker feels confident in the 1-on-1. That should tell Alien that Janker, also if Alien sees Janker's main base, that should tell Alien that Janker has at least, I would think in this situation, Janker has at least 10k, which is above roughly the gold amount that he has. 10k, and like Alien has no interest in finishing SyDe right now because he knows that SyDe is on his side. Yeah. Joke is on.
I know that feel, man.
Yeah,
It's so horrible with this name. But Junker fucking balls of steel, first getting teamed and then thinks, okay, man, I'm gonna play Pendulum here and swing back into your freaking base and just wipe you out. And it works. Oh, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and SyDe should really focus on getting some acolytes out. Like he has nothing out on the map. He is mining at least, but he
3 acolytes here.
like one acolyte is not a lot of gold. Like does not cost a lot of gold, and it can easily save you the game. So you always want acolytes across the map somewhere.
SyDe is in a position where he's double Altar of Darkness, so he can revive both heroes. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean, you want to at this point, I guess, but he's running out of gold, so he may need to unsummon some buildings, which is an unfortunate position if you don't have much left. So SyDe needs to hope for Alien here, and he should talk to Alien, and he's doing so, but if Alien loses the next fight here, I could see Janker winning rather easily if he doesn't throw it.
Yeah, I mean, Junker is in such a dominating position. He only has, 1,000 more gold than Alien, but he's 100 food. Look at the items and the hero levels on Junker. They're absolutely perfect. Outside of maybe one item on the TC could be better.
Alien knows exactly what's up though through that ward, so he finds the perfect time to engage pretty much.
Ooh, nice big bad voodoo here. Dispelled, and Alien is hesitant to use the bats, and because he's not sure if he can't dispel the Spirit Link in time, he doesn't want to waste his bats, so he rather forces the TP and is going to attack with SyDe here. But there are so many towers in this main base of Janker, and if you compare it to Alien's, Alien has some towers too, but it's still a way weaker main base in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Janker can turtle here. And here's another thing we talked about picking the Blade Master or not. The Orb of Lightning is so good with Wind Riders, right? Because of course it'll purge the worm, or it'll purge the destroyer or the hero. And there's so much DPS that you really can't micro against it. Like you can't really throw a coil on a purged Frostworm that's being focused with 8 Wyvern and a level 10 Blade Master. So with his base, he can kind of turtle in these towers, and you'll see that he didn't chop this wood, right? To expose his base, which was smart. So he has these choke points. It's going to be difficult for the players to team him because he has the ability to kill any hero at any time, even with a TP or an invulnerability potion, because of Stomp Hex rotation, and of course the sheer DPS of his heroes and Wind Riders.
Yeah. What do you think is a more annoying item, Spell Shield or Dagger on TC? Because that's something we don't see on this map at least, but on a map like Market Square that we have these TCs with Dagger of Escape, so you have the TC all of a sudden in the middle of your army and stomping. I think that's even more annoying.
You can actually buy a dagger on this map.
You can?
Yeah.
Where?
Yep.
You sure?
At the markets. Yeah.
Is it for sale? I've never seen it here.
I'm almost certain. Is it not?
No, I don't think it is.
Level 7.
No, it's a level 7, and it's not. Yeah. There's no level 7 drop on this map,
no,
so that's why
it's not the same as the Crown of Kings. It's the same as Orb of Frost.
Or maybe it's level 8 even. Maybe it's level 8
Protection
drop.
5.
I don't know, but there is definitely no market, like it's not for sale here. I'm
Okay,
80%
maybe I'm
sure.
wrong. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, that's the other super imba combo, dagger on TC, because of course you can just blink into the front line and then lay a level 3 stomp.
He's threatening another push with the bats, but it's bats on bat action.
Yeah, huge fight here, guys.
No big bad voodoo this time.
Yeah, and nice anti-magic shell here for Sai. You want to keep these two worms alive. It's his last two worms, so you don't just want to lose them. And this is difficult to defend here outside of his main base. I don't think Janker should leave his base here. There's no need for it.
Yeah, I agree. And SyDe needs to be throwing these nukes, and they should probably coordinate together, right? As if it was a 2-on-2 AT game, and say, hey, let's focus the Shadow Hunter, let's focus the Blade Master.
Super
bad volley
difficult
here.
to micro, I guess, to not attack each other, to not friendly fire.
Yeah, I mean, for SyDe it's
Blink is not an
okay.
option, I guess.
Yeah, for SyDe it's okay. Like, they don't have huge armies right now. SyDe is 58 supply, Alien is only 61. It can become very tricky if we have two players with 100 supply air armies. Usually you don't want to team someone if you have 100 supply. But even if you have both 80, it's 160 supply that can clash in the air, so can be tricky. And sometimes you feel tempted to just finish some units of your ally in that situation, because it's easy XP. But in this situation, obviously you don't, like, you want to weaken Janker at all costs. And Janker is losing some units, so needs to be careful here to not lose all these wyverns, because he can't really, like, he can go up to 100 supply easily one more time, but after that he might run out of gold.
Yeah, there's no reason why he should be outside of his towers, like you said. And he also needs to keep those Wind Rider spirit linked so he doesn't die to those undead nukes. I lost a few here recently. And now for Alien, you know, Alien's got 6k gold, right? That's like the perfect amount of gold to be able to rebuild a 100 food army, like a final army. So his goal here is to weaken Junker as much as possible with SyDe, and then eventually be prepared to have his last 100 food army.
Wow, and the worm dying here, and this is still not the worst fight for these two players here. Accidentally, Alien killed the Banshee of SyDe, which prevents any further anti-magic shells. Bit unfortunate here for SyDe.
Right. So SyDe is mining 50 food a little bit, not much of that gold mine left. Enough to at least revive his heroes again. And Junker is almost 100 food, right? And this army is not that scary now between these two. So he can find an engagement where he could potentially start steamrolling. And if he kills one hero, like let's say he kills the Death Knight, let's say he kills the Shadow Hunter, he can kill everything in front of him if he manages to snipe a hero here. Which is very possible here. One mistake from the other players, one good engagement between Stomp and Hex and Focus Fire from the purple Orc will do it.
That's a scary army indeed. So much damage with all the wyvern.
Yeah, and being Alien, you don't, like, you could argue, okay, he has 6k gold, so he could easily push up to 100 supply, but if you team, you are not pressured into 100 supply, and probably Alien's newborn woke up. He got he became father, I think 2 weeks ago, so need to.
Yeah, what a hero! And still able to make it into the top 10 of the FFA league.
Yeah, I guess it's the virus, because last season, like, he was very, he did not play much last year, and I expected him to abandon the community entirely after he became father now, but. Yeah, he manages to play this game, so that's pretty nice.
Pretty impressive indeed. In the one-on-one scene, we have a new father as well, called Lado, and he's always getting eliminated in the second round in any tournament. So Alien is doing a little better there, I guess.
So maybe we can get up to Dota popularity once we all get our kids to play.
Yeah, exactly. Just all get like 15 kids. If we reproduce at that rate, like mice, we have a big audience if we force them to watch, for sure.
I really don't. I don't know why we, like. I personally think. I mean, if I get to 60, like, why wouldn't I play this game, right? Or at least watch games. So, like, I do. If there are other players, and even if I have to play AI in 50 years, I don't know, in 30 years. Probably not 50, but 30. Like, Like, I would still do it, I guess.
There's nothing better coming out, so
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
true. You said on Twitter that Activision is going to remake Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah.
Was it that?
And they already started their advertisement
Nice.
with like almost all songs of the original soundtrack. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. That's
And
how
new
it starts.
graphics. New graphics.
Some nostalgia there for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So again, Yonkers in a position to fight this. He's trying to be careful, of course, but a critical moment's gonna happen here very soon.
Oh, detonate against SyDe. Almost. He just pulled him back. Here's the
Oh,
infill.
here's
That's a
Pump.
big joke indeed. Oh, Blade Storm is also pretty sick. Q-Wave helps a little, I guess. But Janka is still so confident. 90 supply.
He's losing all his wyverns here, so he's only down to 4k, and now he has fewer gold than Alien, so at some point he will need to piece here. But
Silenced
oh, the TC far up front.
again.
Here comes the hero focus. Continues another storm. 5 seconds. 350 crit and bye-bye number 1. Of course, he still has the ult.
He can revive that Tauren with his Spear Walker as well.
Feta Stomp here. An homage to his friend Feta.
Let's see if he revives one of these Tauren with his Spear Walker.
And I really like how SyDe did manage to stay alive here, and he got some gold left. Now every mine is empty on the map, so he will not get above his 1,975 gold unless he's unsummoning. He's going to unsummon some buildings, so SyDe needs to be very careful here with his heroes, but it's looking better now for him than it did 10 minutes ago.
If there's some friendly fire going on between some teaming players, how tempted are you to just backstab him?
Nah, in this situation it doesn't, like, what do you gain, right? Like, you don't need experience anymore at this point. So if you backstab, you only get attacked and you're likely going to lose a hero in return, so you will not backstab in this situation unless you think you can win the game by doing so. Because a backstab in this situation is not only, like, you will not, like, if in this situation Alien backstabs SyDe will not trust him again this game at any point, so he will not do that. And he's not in
it'd
a
be different if maybe Alien had 15k gold or something, right? And he felt like he could try to eliminate the undead and then win 1 versus 2 the rest of the way. But he legitimately needs the undead's help right now. Although if you saw in chat, he did ask if he could rebuild.
Ooh, the Blade Master here. And that's going to be the Blade Master, isn't it? Wow.
Mistake. At Purple Orc.
That's so much damage. And ooh, the TC also, the Tauren also dying here. So that's how easy you can lose the Blade Master, and he's down to 3k gold. So he's, yeah, that's how you balance a game. So if I was Alien or if I was SyDe, I would try to just you want to weaken the Orc base right now just to make sure that he can't just get. You always want to be in a spot where you can, in worst case, base race a player. So in this situation, obviously you want to kill Janker's units, and then you want to weaken his Meimeis a bit just to see how rich he still is. But yeah, he's going to lose a lot of units here without the Blade Master.
There's almost no mana on SyDe anymore. Not too many nukes.
Yeah, but he has a Cutcast Pipe still, right? Or has he sold it? No, he has it still,
Yeah.
so he can stay in this for a bit longer.
Some nice heal waves
Nice.
in here. But yeah, for
Yeah,
the first
nice-
time in
nice
a long
toss
time,
forward.
he goes below 80.
And here we see the weakness of Wyverns, right? Like, without Spirit Link,
Yeah.
they just become super ineffective, and they just die super quickly against Spirit Link. So if Orc would have another air unit, that would be a bit better. They would obviously go for it, but Wyverns really suck if you can combine it with Blade Master damage. So yeah, and all of a sudden Janker is in probably the weakest spot. I think he's even in a weaker spot than SyDe right now. Late Master back though.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think he's going to survive this fine. His heroes are so good right now, right? And he still has a strong base. SyDe's base is just so weak.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably SyDe's still weaker. I think if you take into account that SyDe is probably not going to be teamed next. Like next, they will probably team Alien at some point. I think SyDe is still in a good spot. And if he doesn't lose his heroes here, but I think he won't. Will take some time to break this Orc base, but at some point they will get there, and these units will all die over time.
Yeah, they're bleeding him dry quite nicely. I wonder if SyDe is too nice to team on his former ally.
Yeah, you can't hold grudges in FFA for too long. At some point you need to play for win, and if that's the only way you can win the game, you need to team up with that player that attacked you 10 minutes earlier, so that's what you gotta do. So he does it right here. In this situation he just can't miss. Like, you want to team one player down, but then you need to find the right point in time to piece with that player, or at least just pull back. You don't have to communicate your piece in chat, but you can also just pull back and don't help anymore. So there are different ways to stop teaming, but we'll see. And yeah.
So right now, guys, like, Janker can fight this. Like, the Undead doesn't have any Wyvern whatsoever, and the Orc only has one Destroyer. Like, he needs to play aggressive, kill the Destroyer, go stomp the heroes. I think that he can break out of this.
But the SH of Alien is still full mana, while Janker's SH is out of mana almost. One more heal wave here.
True.
So we'll see. Going to make a difference here potentially. And also all the casters here for Janker. He has one shaman with mana still. Ooh, but the TC might die here. Wow, easily dying. 380 crit.
Yep, and here's what I'm talking about. He can capitalize now. This is exactly what needed to happen.
Yeah, good call here by Janker to break out.
Nice call by Seksi as well, who said this is gonna happen like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Yeah, I didn't expect Janker to break out that aggressively here, and now he's rushing to SyDe's main base, knowing that he can't kill the Dreadlord. So,
right.
I mean,
let's see if SyDe will move his army away from his main base. Or
yeah, he definitely should.
Heroes.
I mean, he has an Acolyte here in the north, and I think he should have gotten one more Necropolis out of his main base just so he can TP there, worst case. Maybe sell some items. Like, he still has, I guess, 3k gold just in items if you wanted to sell them. So, we'll see. But he needs to get out there quickly. And it's a
nice little nip from Janker there. SyDe pumps again. Probably not going to work, but he's going for it.
So is that the death blow on SyDe's base?
Yeah, now he's diving.
Heroes right now.
Yeah. Spell shield not triggered, but yeah, he needs to get away very, very quickly.
Yeah, the Orc needs to go chase his heroes. He shouldn't live right now. His heroes shouldn't be able to live.
Yeah. SH has no mana for Hex though, so it's a bit of a downside. And now Alien is trying to weaken Janker's main base. So, do you really think Janker is in the best spot? Because I think Alien is in the best spot right now with 5k gold still.
Yeah, I mean, but look at the army difference, right? Like, Janker has 50 food more. So if it comes down to it, evenly fought battle between Alien and Janker, I would think Janker would win. But we'll see. You're right. He has a lot of gold, and he's weakening his base now.
And he's killing all these towers.
Make a difference, though.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you play and watch so many FFAs and you are not telling in unison who's winning. Makes it super exciting for me. I don't know who to trust right now.
It's always open, like anything can happen. Even the player, like SyDe can still win. Like, he has high level heroes, so as long as you have high level heroes and some way to survive still, and he has some gold to rebuild, and it's a huge map, you can stay in the game, and powers tend to shift in FFA. That's why after you made it to 3-way, that's why Ilares was in such a bad spot. But once you made it to the 3-way, it's usually all open. So very rarely players try to finish you off early to have a final 1-on-1, because it usually takes too long to finish a player. And it takes too many resources. So in this situation, it's still... Like, SyDe can still win this, but obviously he's in the worst spot still.
SyDe was just selling a lot of
Oh, and
items.
TP. TP coming in, and yeah, immediate TP. Good call by Alien.
See what he can
Oh, got
grab.
all the casters.
God, super sweet. Yeah, quad kill.
Shockwave. Level 3 Shockwave was awesome.
Yeah, you need it to
Yeah,
be
so,
instantly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean...
so Alien is not making an army here. He's really planning to have that final army versus the Orc player. But we'll see. I do think it was a mistake from Junker when he was in the undead base. He saw the heroes. The heroes had no TP, and just the Necropolis to TP to. He could have killed those heroes, and then potentially had the final 1-on-1. But SyDe escaped his heroes, and I don't know. I think that might come back to bite him.
Yeah, I agree. Now he has 3 heroes back, and he can team up with Alien, and Junker gets weaker, slowly but steady. He's down to 1k gold. He can sell buildings like an undead can. He has many items still, so he is still richer than he appears to be. So if he sells all his items, he can still get up to... He could get up to 4k right now, I guess, almost. Maybe 3k. But he's still in a good spot here, and he's changing, I think, another mistake. He's changing aggro here. I think he needs to try to finish SyDe right now. It's his best shot. But
Right,
we'll
SyDe
see.
doesn't even have enough to make a Necropolis. I mean, of course, he could sell an item, but...
Yeah, and he should sell items really. Like, these items, all of a sudden, for him, if you don't have any gold left, they lose value. Like, an item that has a selling value of 300 gold is all of a sudden is more worth than, like, the ability. So I think he should try to sell an item right now. But they are going for the fight here.
He's diving on the Shadow Hunter. Oh, nice Infernal.
Again, good zoning by SyDe. Huge Nova. See how well he can heal against that. Otherwise, Junker could lose a lot here if the fight continues.
Yeah, he's TPing out. Will be interesting. Ooh.
1, 2, 3. Oh, a lot of Wyvern
he's
gone.
saving.
All of a sudden down to 60.
Yeah, but he's saving some of them. I think he could have easily just lost all of them if he had stayed in for a few seconds longer. So I think it was a good call. SyDe full mana though on Lich and DK, so interesting. Only his
Yeah, all of a sudden the Orc is a little bit more vulnerable now. Smaller army. Interesting that Alien chose to spend his gold not on Wind Riders but Tauren. It's for Tauren, which are good in Orc Mirror, and not as weak, of course, as the Wind Riders, but still an interesting decision.
And we see Junker is trying to... I mean, at some point he needs to piece with one of these players. If you can't win 6 high-level heroes at this point if you don't have 100 supply anymore, and if you're just down to 900 gold. So he needs to piece, and obviously SyDe is the one to piece with, because he knows SyDe is weak, so SyDe needs to piece with him. But we'll see at what point SyDe is willing to do so.
I mean, if Alien goes Tauren and SyDe still has some worms, it should be killable in the end for him.
Yeah, but these Orc heroes, like this Blade Master, fully stacked with a spell shield. Yeah. Like if Alien turned his back on SyDe right now, if Alien would backstab, SyDe would have no chance. So SyDe relies on Junker still until Alien is forced to spend his gold or sell his items. So until that point, SyDe will not win this game on his own right now. He needs to balance the game, and it's his advantage that he's in a weak position. So it doesn't make sense for them to team SyDe right now, because like there's nothing you can team. You can kill some undead buildings, but then he's out. So that's his advantage right now, and he needs to make sure that he's not giving free win to any of these players.
There's no Spirit Link on the Wyvern.
So chase the undead, right?
Yeah, Junker should do so, but with the aura, it's a pretty even race here.
An item that's really underutilized in free-for-all, I'm sure Neo can appreciate, are speed scrolls. You should always have a speed scroll in free for all as well. It's just imagine a bloodlusted orc army coming at you with speed scroll, you know, with a big stomp and hex and just establishing that first attacking position. You don't really see him much from these two orcs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially since you have so much gold and they're just 50 gold
Right,
cost.
right. And
And
like the effectiveness of a speed scroll can just completely decimate an entire battle for 50 gold.
yeah, for sure. But it's sometimes you tend to not go for these cheap items anymore once you have access to these tier 6, 7, 8 items. And in this situation, I definitely agree. You could have like this, like Helm of Valor is not as valuable in this situation as a speed scroll would have been.
Right. So if you're the purple orc, wouldn't you think that he would go and try to eliminate the undead here? Or is he trying to wait to try to get the undead to help him team out this base a little bit?
Yeah, I think he passed
Right.
that point since he, as you say, since he hasn't killed the undead heroes here on the left. He's now all of a sudden he's reliant on side. So I think Janker needs to. He tried to. He really needs to piece with side. And now Alien's main base is the strongest. So if like general rule of thumb in ladder games also, if only one player has a main base still with towers and two players have not, you can easily, or you should always try to team that player with a full main base, because only that player has full supply still, like to produce theoretically if he has gold, and you never want two players out of main bases and one player with a main base. So it's like something that happens really often, even in many FML games. So you see two players giving free win to one third player just because that player was never teamed. And in this situation, yeah, Alien needs to get weakened, I guess, at some point.
Interesting that Alien spent the gold the way that he did. I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to do it. Tauren are obviously very good. They're good in Orc and they're good against heroes. But then he made these bats as well. Like, I guess the bats are to finally clear out the Wyvern. Maybe it would have been better for him to not spend his gold. But I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, and they're going to team him now. So side pieced with Janker. Good call here. And now they're going to team Alien here.
How quick things change in FFA.
Yeah, it's unusual, right? If you're only used to 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, that people walk to each other and that they don't attack each other. But
I mean, they were fighting for like 20 minutes or even more, like half an hour. And all of a sudden, no, it's all good, man. Let's turn it around.
That's what you gotta do, right? If you don't do it, you will not play for win and you will lose the game. So neither of
if
these
you're ultimately
players-
trying to win and there's only one winner, of course, you know, you're gonna want to weaken the stronger opposition and kind of balance that out. It doesn't always work out as planned, but you'll see that that's kind of how it's going right now.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mistake here, as you say, by Alien to invest that much gold into units. Like, units can get, by these 6 heroes, units get killed so easily. You should save, in my eyes, you should always save 1 to 1.5k gold to just rebuild out on the map, to invest in reviving heroes and that kind of stuff. So these units will just die over time. They will just team him until he's out of units.
Right.
So
and maybe they wouldn't have teamed him.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably would have, but maybe they wouldn't have if he didn't build his army.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, the orb from the Purge, Purge the Blade Master.
Like
just up
immediately, first hit, half a second after the hex. Was just
Yeah,
purged
allowing
again.
him to TP there.
That move.
And it's very rare these days to see in FFA games, in competitive FFA games, to see high-level Orc mirrors, because we don't have many good Orc players that are active. Orc arguably the weakest race in FFA. Because Orc can, like, Orc with stack heroes and much gold, always very strong, but Orc also very weak anti-air if Orcs have no gold, and Orcs can get base raced rather easily, so especially against elves. That's why Orc is rather weak and also difficult to play, because you always have to micro all these casters against nuke and that kind of stuff. So really nice to see Orc mirror on high level here.
Yeah, they
Yeah, I
both
agree with
got
you, man.
random.
The Orc is pretty difficult to play. I think that I'm probably in the train of thought that Elf is probably the weakest free-for-all race. But really the balance between the 4 races are pretty good. All races are good in free-for-all.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the total opposite compared to one-on-one, where every race is shit depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, FFA has this auto-balancing, right? So you can always, if a race is too strong, and Human arguably was for many years with Mass TP and 3 supply tanks, was extremely strong, but you can always, you will always automatically balance the game somewhat against the player with the strongest race. But with the tanks patch, Human became much weaker, arguably. Still, in Hero Arena with the new orb, there was a buff, but overall, Human not as strong as it has been some years ago. So it's, I would say, in FFA, it's in a pretty good spot, and maybe even better than in one-on-one. And you're always saying, Neo, that one-on-one is in a good spot right now.
Yeah, it is. Especially compared to like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
People tend to forget that.
Yeah, it's easy to forget, and like always new meta evolves over time. So sometimes I think changes are made too quickly. And for example, I was very skeptical about some of the changes in 1.29, but now it's with the old critical strike back, transmute back to 100%. Like transmute and charm are still really bad for FFA because they don't have a high cooldown and they just make players not spending their gold late game.
That's what I say for years, and Reno's never listening. He makes fun of me for my transmute plays. But anyway, we have a fight going on. Oh, okay, now it's peace again.
Yeah, it will take some time. Like they will need to play very carefully here, and SyDe needs to join armies here with Janker potentially. Like he's very exposed here on the right, or maybe need to kill some trees here with the Infernal.
I mean, really, I don't think that Yanker's army or Alien's army is much scarier than Yanker's. I mean, Yanker doesn't have any bloodlust, obviously, which is huge.
Yeah.
But it's interesting here. Like, I mean, what are these players going to do, right? Like, SyDe has to be thinking, well, I want to weaken one orc and then weaken the rest. And ultimately, SyDe's game plan to win here, his winning condition, is to weaken both players down to basically heroes and just a small amount of buildings and be on an even playing field.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, what should Alien do here, right? Like, should Alien be trying to convince SyDe to stop and maybe piece again? Or should he just try to break out? Should he abandon his base? And there's a lot of different decisions here, and it's tough to say exactly what's going to be the best one, which is interesting.
Looks like he's trying to break out, getting punished for it. SyDe so far just chilling, spamming his spells as good as he can.
And he has full mana still, so they will definitely be able to kill Alien here if they want to, like at least all his units. So for SyDe, I mean SyDe wants to get rid of all these Orc units, and late game with Infernal, and now he finally has a new Necropolis here, and he has some Acolytes out on the map. So I think he is in a much better spot than he was 20 minutes ago, but he still can't fight any of these Orc players straight up against these items.
Yeah, and SyDe could be sending an Infernal around right now, right? And maybe... Oh, here we go, another fight here.
It's almost out of air.
And these Big Bad Voodoos end so quickly. Like, very often we see long Big Bad Voodoos, but against all these spell Staff of Silences and Storms and Hacks, no Big Bad Voodoo lasts longer than a few seconds.
Webmaster being targeted.
So Alien down to 43 supply, Janker to 39, and SyDe to 32. So it's pretty even here.
It's so close.
And everyone almost out of gold. So it's really, really even right now, I would say.
Look at Janker's items though, guys. Like, if you look at the Death Knight on SyDe, sold his items. Look at the TC on Alien,
right.
sold his items. Janker's 10-10-10, full inventory.
Yeah.
He'll definitely win a one-on-one against either player.
That's right. And you would, in FFA late game, you would check, or you always have to check inventories just in case. Like, that's a good... If someone says he's completely dead, and someone has full item still, you know he still has some gold to work with. So, well, a lot of
Alien
things.
is trying to turn side against Yunka now.
Yeah, I mean, he
And
has
it's
to.
kind of working, isn't it?
He has to. I mean, his other option would be just to let his main base go, lose all his units, and pretend to be weak and try to survive. But he doesn't. He isn't really prepared to do so because he has only 2 great halls out on the map and not many peons. So he kind of wants to keep this main base alive, at least for some part. And yeah, side is probably going to be the deciding factor here. I mean, every player somehow is, but side will, because I think both of them know that they can win the one-on-one still against side, so they need him to team up with them.
So do you think that side should be sending an Infernal around the map and trying to destroy proxy buildings and at least scouting the rest of the buildings?
I think he should scout more right now. Like, he was scouting very well early on, and he's doing that now. Like, he's scouting now. I think that's really key. Like, you have such an advantage, and eventually, if it's about a base race, it can be about seconds. So it's a huge advantage if you know where everyone's buildings are. And he's picking up an item here, and he's 220 gold. So this item can... What was it? It was a circlet. And in some cases, like, while players were up to 20k gold at some point, 50 gold item sell can make a difference in this situation.
The side was killing like 3 to 4 peasants. There's one left. Is there more?
There's one at the top and one here. So two
Okay.
2 peons, I think. And yeah, that's... If you're out of peons, you easily lose the game, so... That's an advantage for side right now and for Junker. They both have Zeppelins with...
Oh yeah.
Oh no, everyone... no, Junker has 2. So 2 Zeppelins here.
Yeah, very smart. So pretty cool that the ending of this game is a little bit different from yesterday. They're really weakening each other, and I mean, it's funny to think that between the 3 players, they had what, 55, 60,000 gold, and now between the 3 of them, they don't even have 1,500 gold. So it's interesting how they balance it without knowing each other's gold counts. You know, it's coming down to the wire now.
And that's what we often have in these FFAs, that we have the base race games. If it's like in semifinals, not so much, because very often we have disappointing semifinals, and more like, because there's so much on the line and players tend to play more carefully. But this one is really a nice one. I really enjoy it so far, and I enjoy base races most, so that's my thing, to play it and to watch it. So. Will be interesting here.
Yeah, a whole new set of skills comes into play at this stage of the game, right? Like micro and macro and things like that doesn't matter so much. It's more so decision making, scouting, you know, preserving your base, saving acolytes, really scouting more than anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these players play it here. But at the very least, they should be destroying some proxy buildings. I don't know if just you know, sitting around and waiting is going to do much for you.
And sometimes I see these one-on-one games and everyone's hyped about late game base races, which are much less common in one-on-ones. And then you see these highly skilled players that, like, these extremely good players, and they fail so hard in base races just because they're not that used to it.
Yeah, they panic so hard at times.
Yeah, and in FFA, because it's so much more common, I mean, in generally, it's a different game mode, but I think many FFA players are much better in these base race situations, like this decision making, height units, height building. So that's I think one of the few things where really I think many FFA players have an advantage over one-on-one players. And I'm not sure if you've watched Grubby's streams sometimes he's facing Gradient, which is one of the legends of the FML community. Polish elf player who is always going for that line of entry protectors in his main base and harassment.
I bet Grubby loves that.
Yeah, he's a legend, and he's Gradient is one of, like, he appears weak sometimes, but he's so strong in base racing, and It's easy to underestimate some of these players because you think that they're not as strong because they have weaker micro or something, but game sense can make up for a lot of that.
Yeah, so Gradient beat Grubby multiple times in free-for-all ladder.
Yeah, and also in one-on-one, he beat him against with chimeras against his org. That's still in the art collection of our FML Discord server. How he
Awesome, I didn't know that.
beat Grubby with chimeras.
I mean, you really shouldn't estimate, you know, free-for-all players. There's definitely a good amount of free-for-all players that are very, very good, skilled players. You know, not only with FFA skills, but good micro and macro as well.
Ooh.
And then, you know, oh, barely saved there. When it comes to these army compositions and food counts, you know, I would usually almost always take an experienced free-for-all player over a pro solo player if I were to bet on him.
But also on the other hand, I mean, we have to say a one-on-one player is obviously due to like it's much harder to learn micro skills. So as we see with SyDe and Neutron, it is possible for one-on-one players to learn FFA more quickly than for an FFA player to learn professional one-on-one. But usually it's more frustrating too because your winning chances naturally are lower in FFA because only one player can win a 4, and in one-on-one, if you have 80% win share in one-on-one, you're not used to losing a lot of FFA games. So that's why many players abandon the scene.
That's a good point, though. When the solo player comes into the scene and they're dedicated and they stick around, you know, it becomes very scary.
Yeah.
So back to the game here, guys. They've decided basically that, and I think correctly, that they're not going to be able to one-on-one Junker's heroes and Army right now. So they're deciding to search for his buildings, and they've been doing that. He's all but almost eliminated, right? There's only just Zeppelins and peons left. Now, if they do that, if they manage to eliminate him, well, it's Alien's game, right? I mean, outside of an amazing battle from the Undead player to destroy, you know, Alien Shadowhunter or something like that. So we'll see. I think that I don't know. It's difficult to say, you know, what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and SyDe seems to peace here. He's not attacking Junker any longer. So I think, yeah, SyDe realizes Junker asks him if he's able to win Alien alone. And I think deep inside him, SyDe knows that he's not able to win against Alien alone, probably. So he needs to stop now. And yeah, as you say, Junker is down to just 2 buildings and not much gold. So I think at this point, or 3 buildings, I think at this point he should sell some items. As you say, like this Helm of Valor, for example, not really useful anymore at this point. It's more useful for him to get up to 800 gold. So that will be my choice. Yeah.
Right, get another great haul. I will say that I think the Undead has a decent chance at beating Alien one-on-one if it comes down to it. Just because Alien doesn't have that many items left, and the Undead still has critical ones like 3 spell shields, a Staff of Silence, Infernal Stun, Sleep. You know, with a really well-placed battle, he could win there. But of course, we're not at that stage yet.
Junker's down to 1 building, really?
No,
Is that it, really?
No, he has one burrow here, and he has a peon here. So, but you always want to have gold usually, unless you can't do it somehow. You always want to have gold for at least 2 more great halls in this situation, just so you can, for example, if you get revealed or if your last great hall becomes scouted quickly, you want to be able to cancel it, get 1 more or get 2. So you don't, if you have items to sell, you don't want to be stuck on. He's down to 240 gold. He built 1 great hall now in the north, so I think he should pass a shop rather soonish. And sometimes you're just too far away from shops or markets, or you lose a hero, and it's very unfortunate to lose a hero with full items and then run out of gold to keep buildings.
I see the chat asking about balancing and, you know, what's the point of being strong or playing well if it's just going to be balanced at the end anyways. It does happen oftentimes, but there's also moves that you can make to win as the winning player. And for example, when Junker was, you know, destroyed their heroes down here, he could have came in here and killed the undead heroes and potentially won the game at that point, setting up a final 1-1 versus the Orc. So there's always decisive moves to be made. It doesn't always come down to this back and forth balancing. But of course, it is part of the game when the stakes are so high.
Yeah, rarely on highest level the weakest players win it all. And also, if you have to consider, if a player always plays weak and pretends to be weak, at some point he will be known for that, and other players will not like will not believe him anymore that he's really weak. So it's like in history, the strongest player have won more convincingly and have won more dominantly. So in some games, it like you have to. In many cases, you can't just bulldoze over all 3 other players from start because you're up against 9 other heroes and much more gold or a bigger economy. So you can't win it straight up. That's the fun of FFA. That's why in some cases it can be more useful to pretend to be weak, but pretending to be weak all the time is usually not the way for dominance, and can, like, if you want to have some fun still, it's much more fun to kill some heroes than sitting in your main base for 2 hours and pretend to be weak. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess you will suffer with your heroes as well, right? If you
Exactly, yeah. It's if
playing possum.
And if you once you have high level heroes, if you just sit in your main base, others will start to team you rather sooner than later, because if you just sit, people will know that you feel confident to win the game with just sitting. So it's not going to work. It's going to work on ladder, but it's not going to work in competitive games.
So Alien turned around and started fighting SyDe now that Junker doesn't have many buildings. He wasn't able to kill a hero, and now they're both on him again. We're going to see the first person to lose a hero really going to be in a bad spot here.
Alien tried to team against SyDe, but that didn't work.
Oh, and he's revealed. He's using the reveal manip, so he's not building another Great Hall here to stop the reveal. Obviously, if you get another main building, your reveal is going to be stopped, but he uses it as a manip. So he's getting revealed potentially here, just to avoid, avoid further teaming. Which can be very smart, can also be very dangerous if one of the other players has a lot of stuff still. And obviously,
down
sorry,
to below 150.
Yeah.
Sick. Oh, he scouts that. Did he? Does he? Infernal?
Was close. I think it's daytime. I think he saw it.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's these situations are pretty tense because you neither side nor Junker can be teamed really, and
That knight can die right here, guys.
oh yeah, he may die. Not dropping the orb though. But
Well, that was a purge. He had time to TP out.
Yeah.
Oh, but the sleep on the TC.
TP? He wants to save the TP, but that's not going to happen here.
That might be the big mistake with a crit. He's kind of dead. Hex is over. Purge, he's just walking this off.
Yeah,
My
now he
God,
has
this
to.
Batman.
That was so greedy by him. If Junker had, I mean, Junker could have dropped the. That's something some orc players do, but it's also risky to drop the orb of lightning, just so you don't accidentally dispel the hex. So you can always hex stomp. And in that case, the DK would have been dead. But it's also very risky because your item can get picked up.
So SyDe did a double click TP. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. So he's TP'd towards that direction. Well, I'm not sure if Alien saw that or not, or will use that information later.
Sends an Infernal once again. Can he kill that Great Hall with it?
Will be interesting to see here. And also, what we should mention can become very important. Junker has the best map vision here by far. He has still sentry wards all over the map. So
He really didn't see it, did he? He's just walking straight past it. He has no clue.
Ooh, SyDe could easily lose his heroes here if he's not careful, but yeah, Spell Shield's saving him for now, and Junker is still, Junker doesn't want to help at this point.
Imagine a speed scroll right now. That could be
Right.
nail in the coffin for SyDe.
Yeah, he can get away though. TC being slapped, very smart by SyDe to do that. And I like that Junker wrote that he doesn't know where, but he saw it. Like he has his entry ward here, and he walked by. We passed by with a dog, so he saw it. But sometimes you don't want to help. It's just risk for yourself to lose a hero. So
SyDe is a TP again.
And now they potentially piece against SyDe here. And SyDe is not... Like, SyDe wants to prevent that, of course.
Yeah, that's such a cool dynamic.
And that's a fun part of this reveal. Like, you see when a player gets revealed, but you don't see when a player is... Like, stops to get revealed, so you only see the Great Hall.
Worm can go down, guys.
But, oh yeah, the worm is... Big deal,
Staff of
actually.
Silence for the DK.
Yeah, so that worm is dead. So you only see the Great Hall, so both players should know now that there's this Great Hall and that it was built because you see it on the minimap. But obviously it's not revealed anymore right now, so you can build other stuff. And SyDe should get away here. I think he still can't fight it. Especially with Spirit Link and Bloodlust, there's just no way he can win a fight here. He really needs to snipe these casters if he wants to take a fight, and even then it's very risky, I think.
Okay, it's close. Are they teaming against Alien after this?
I think
Or
Janker
they're
is just
hiding?
staying under the radar. Janker needs to prepare for the base race, really. Janker has fewest buildings, and he just needs to scout and try to stay alive right now.
Okay,
And-
they finally find the Great Hall.
Yeah, and SyDe is continuing to... I mean, they saw the Great Hall. I forgot to mention that. If he was revealed, really, they see it on the minimap, right? Like, he was revealed, so you see once it's built. And only after that, for the next Great Hall, you don't have that... You don't have that reveal anymore. So I think they know.
Why didn't he attack him then with the Infernal?
Good question. I don't know. Maybe they want to get rid of this first. It's easier to... I mean... This is probably their
Yeah,
priority.
Sometimes knowing where this hall is, or if Alien knows about this one based on that TP,
Okay.
just knowing is enough, right? Like, because at the very end you'll know what your final thing is that you have to destroy. But yeah, he probably could have got it with the Infernal there.
Yeah. And I put my, just for you, Neo, I put in this situation, I put my minimap to black always, to like black background, because it becomes way more easy to like see stuff. So
Chad is hating that.
I know, but they are not used to FFA yet, maybe. And if you do that, like, you see some of these buildings much more easily, and you see all these Zentry wards here by Janker. So
Yeah, that Witch Doctor's come in handy with all these wards all over the map.
Super sick indeed.
yeah. So this map
Like
vision.
in general, the scouting for Orc with mirror image and Witch Doctors is insane.
Yeah. So
For
that's
sure.
an advantage for Orc in this situation. Like that's the beauty of FFA. Everyone can win, race-wise, player-wise, and Orc has some really cool things to work with, like Zentry wards. Also, bats can be very efficient early on, and obviously high-level stacked heroes. And Undead, as we see, usually Undead very nice in base race too, because you can get you need one Acolyte and you can get Necropolises all over the map. But if you don't have gold, it doesn't really, like, you can't really do that. So
Yeah, he invested in another town portal.
yeah.
Of course, he can still sell some items potentially because he has these acolytes, around here.
Do you think he should sell some items right now? Because I think he should. I think it's more important to have a bank right
maybe
now.
enough to at least make one more Necropolis, right? Like in a jam.
Yeah. Would you sell something like the Orb of Corruption right now, maybe? I don't know, like Orb of Corruption in this situation, you're probably not going to kill a hero with like non-spell damage anyway, so...
Tough to say.
Alien is coming in here. That's very dangerous for a side potentially. But
Well, one thing that he could sell for sure is the boots on a Death Knight. You never need boots on Death Knight. You just need boots on Lich and Dreadlord, because of Lich and Dreadlord have boots of speed. They're the same speed as a Death Knight without boots.
yeah, you're right.
125 gold plus 153. Yeah, you'd have enough for a Necropolis or an invulnerability potion.
And we see right now, like, these are the tense late game situations where there's so much on the line, and one wrong move can easily lose you the game within like 1 or 2 minutes. So everyone wants to scout the map first, make sure that everyone is like really that as weak as he pretends to be. And So it's at some point someone will need to take the initiative, but right now I think Alien has a lot of, or most buildings still, and has strong heroes here and 26 supply only. But Janker has all these sentry wards, and I think they may be a game changer here. Let's see, he also has most Zeppelins. Sorry, yeah.
SyDe said to Alien that Juncker has an expansion at 6 o'clock, and he's checking it now. And it's not really 6 o'clock; it's more like 5:30 or something. But Alien didn't see it, so he might be thinking that SyDe is lying about this.
Yeah.
It's such a weird dynamic now, and so unfortunate for SyDe. Mr. Good Guy.
Yeah, and Alien is saying that he thinks that the purple orc has a hidden army somewhere and that he doesn't have an air unit to scout it.
Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't have that, but, you know, if he can get SyDe to help him eliminate the purple orc, you know, then he's got to feel that's his best chance to win.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to see hidden air armies in FFA on a map like that, where there's a lot of water in the corners, so you can... In many cases, we saw players winning with just armies that are not getting scouted, or that did not get scouted all over the game, but on highest level, like, corner scouting is so important, so usually good players will always at some point send air units in every corner just to see if there's any hidden army. But in this situation, obviously, they should be safe to say very soon that everyone's out of gold and out of units, so...
Now he knows.
Yeah, now he knows. Yeah, but anything can happen here, so... who do you think is anyone ahead, Seksi?
Is anyone ahead, you're saying?
Yep.
I mean, tough to say, right? Like, I would say that I would think either of the orcs are ahead right now, and Undead still is in last. I mean, the Undead really needs, he really needs one of the orcs to be eliminated, or to lose their Shadow Hunter, or something like that to happen. Just because he's not going to win in Hero Arena outside of an amazing fight, which of course SyDe is capable of doing. And then the fact that I would just say his experience of hiding buildings and things like that is probably not as great. I like Junker's heroes, so I'd say that he probably has the advantage despite not really having any buildings. The fact that he does have the best fighting army, and he has sentry wards around the map, as well as, you know, items to sell, so he can rebuild great halls with a peon. So I'd say probably purple is in best spot, followed by Alien, followed by the Undead, but it's definitely anyone's game.
So it's about the first one to commit or make the first mistake. The grand final is on the line. Super passive again.
Someone writes in the FML Twitch chat that we should help viewers, the real viewers, to find our stream on Google by Twitch viewer. As if we had no real viewers until now, so get the fuck out of our Twitch chat.
Behaving so well until now for 2
Yeah.
hours 30. All of a sudden, you need to curse again. Jeez. The family's watching, you know.
I know.
Warcraft.
Yeah, we passed 10:30 p.m. So I thought everyone would be in bed right now.
Oh, the children in the US.
Yeah.
They are taking things very seriously.
Maybe Alien lets his newborn watch this game just to learn from him.
Oh, the Infernal finds the Great Hall.
It's funny, not only is this spacebar binded, you can see that the letter G is binded.
Yep.
Numpad 8.
Yeah, and SyDe is trying to ease it a bit with his funny chat, but it's still, if this is your second last Great Hall, you're not amused to see it being killed by an Infernal, so like, chat is nice for us, but if like you're really trying to win, at some point you're not going to, like, you don't really care if a player is nice or not. If he kills your Great Hall, he kills your Great Hall, so.
Did he miss the Zeppelin in the bottom right? It's so close. It's nighttime now.
Yeah, like, if he really goes into the corner, that's why you don't keep it entirely in the corner, but more close to the mainland, just so it doesn't get scouted if someone waypoints something into the corner. And
Oh my, it's so close.
as we see here, it's pretty close, but I think he sees it now if he checks the minimap. Yeah, you should see it now, despite nighttime, I think. Oh, and he's scouting the... Yeah, he's
Oh.
going for it here.
Goes for it. All right, is this the end of SyDe? Big storm. There's so many disables, but
Yeah, TP
not
pays
losing
out
it.
right now. And even
there
this...
should be like with stomp and hacks, there should be like perma lockdown.
Yeah, but not with spell shield.
He needed to use Hex first. He used Stomp first, which allowed him to TP. But yeah, like you said, with Spell Shield, with Frost Armor, with Purge
True,
effect.
spell shield. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
spell
is
shield
difficult,
is...
but you're right though,
yeah.
Neil. The Stomp Hex rotation can theoretically kill any hero once they're both level 3 skills.
Spell shield is so imbalanced. Like, it's really the only item we consider to remove from FA maps. But then again, like as we see here, it can be kind of fun. Like, it can be fun because it's imba, but it's still like it's an item that has too low of a cooldown. So it's... Oh, the DK here. Uh-oh.
No TP anymore, right? Boom, shockwave dead, and that
All his
Must
heroes are
be
gonna
it.
die now.
no aura
Yep, double
against
stomp.
endurance and stomp and hacks. SyDe, it was nice knowing you, buddy, but you will not follow Newton into the final.
What happened there, guys? He just caught him, leaving his base. I guess he did. He had sentry wards on the map.
Yeah.
He probably knew where Necropolis was.
Yeah, and
And
he's... Oh, yeah, but it won't help.
where did he reveal from?
Feta Blade Storm here, but yeah, won't help.
How did the orc reveal there?
He has something close to a lab, I guess. Or
He has
did
a dust in the
did he
TP.
use a dust? Did he buy a dust?
he
Oh
bought
yeah,
a
he
dust,
got a dust. Yeah.
Right, SyDe out.
All right.
And that's,
guys.
I mean,
Aura.
he's not entirely out, right? I mean, he has 303 gold still, and he has an acolyte. And if he sells buildings, he can get back his at least. With
That's true.
selling items, he can get
Okay.
back his heroes, and he's saving his. Oh, he found the Zeppelin here, so
Yeah, he's getting a little revenge right now, at least, and the Great Hall is getting killed as well.
so it's heating up now, and Alien obviously trying to go for Junker nows, and if Alien wins the next fight here, he is all of a sudden in the best spot, and Junker might be forced to peace with SyDe again.
Yeah. You're losing both Wyvern there, 2 out of 3. And interesting that SyDe didn't have the Frostworm with his army. With the Frostworm, he could have defended against those 3 heroes probably.
Oh, he found the burrow with the worm.
He did. He found the Burrow and the Zeppelin.
Oh, that's sick. SyDe making quite an impact after all his heroes are
Here
down.
we go, guys. Here we go,
Wyvern
guys.
coming in for the rescue.
And
Oh
super
boy.
important to have that Shaman dead before the first fight. That Bloodlust would have made a huge difference, and now he might be able to kill the
Shadowhunter
SH.
is dead. Oh, he purged!
TP out then. See, Jesus Christ.
That
So
Purge
what
Orb.
about
If he would have dropped the Purge Orb, the Shadowhunter would have been dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you should drop it in these situations. Like, it's so much value if you lose it. And yeah, we do see SyDe holding some grudges now, obviously, and
Yeah.
he's selling all his main base, so he will get a hero back, I guess.
Oh wow.
Um,
Oh, that's so sick.
and he can still get sell some items. So I think he could get all his heroes back if he has the time right now.
What the? Wait, he's about to see the Great Hall upper left as well. He saw it, right?
I don't
He must
know.
have seen it.
Yeah, I think it's daytime. He should have seen it. He's moving left, so I guess yeah, he's going to kill it.
immediately.
And Alien also scouting the Necropolis if he hasn't done so before. So, and this is a very important Necropolis for SyDe, because if he wants to get his heroes back, like he has only this one Necropolis in the south, and there's not much more potential to get heroes back, but he's getting the altar back now. So he will get his heroes, I think. Even if he gets the time, he might be able to get back all heroes. We'll see.
Oh, he's making sure to kill the Zeppelin as well. Okay, Junker has to engage. First Serpent Ward of the game as well.
And
Alright.
surprise factor working in his favor now. And the SH of Alien is not in good spot, but also the TC here.
He has Staff of Silence also.
Wow. Heal wave comes in.
Oh, and the Staff of
Oh, TP out before he's ready.
Ooh, but the TC.
Oh no!
Yonka with the hero kill. What's going on?
He's gonna get
And
him
one
out,
more
yep.
building, so Side can't kill him anymore. He's building one bottom left.
Still, well, no, he's got his Shadow Hunter and Blade Master coming back. See if
That's so sick.
Alien won't expect it. Alien won't expect it.
He needs
Surge
2
is out
crits now.
again.
300.
Good! Hex
Heal
again!
wave.
No way out!
No, no heal wave.
Wasn't he in range or something? I don't know.
Oh god, it looks like it. Almost.
Silence again. No more storm. Just hexes. Hero potion to save.
Oh, there's a sentry ward here of Junker, so he sees the Blade Master if he gets too close to that ward.
Hunter's gonna die right now.
Step of silence again. Can he save him somehow?
Oh,
TP.
But he can't revive his hero. He can't revive his TC.
I mean, he can if he sells some items, but or doesn't he?
Right.
I mean, he has no peons out on the map, so he needs to get a peon first because he has no altar right now. But I think he could even try to tavern the TC if he sells some items. But if he sells items, he can definitely not take a fight against Junker anymore. Junker is still pretty stacked here. But yeah, Dreadlord is going to come back at some point. And he did unsummon that Necropolis to revive it, so he is down to 2 buildings here.
But Junker is down to 1 building as well, and that's right next to.
He has 2 here, so he is.
He has one over here as well.
Yeah, okay, but Side knows about the burrow.
Is he? Now he's. Now he is revealed. So Alien can win this now if he doesn't lose his heroes. And
Second last building gone.
And that's
That
a
was Side to kill.
mistake by his side, I think. He needs Junker to stay alive.
Of the War Mill there. Kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he was scared to just lose his last building with a zapper or something, so he better goes for like this Warmill before. Like Warmill has the best, is I think best value for money. If you just need to get 1 building as an orc in this situation, that can last for a bit. So
More so than a burrow. Yeah, you're right.
but he's also out of lumber almost, so I think it might have been a mistake. So he also got the Warmill to get some lumber because he doesn't have enough lumber to get another Great Hall, I think, right?
Oh, he finds it though.
I see. So you get that Torn quickly.
Oh,
Oh,
he
he
fails to stomp here. But
He missed the stomp.
Oh man, there was a watch award. How can you miss that stomp?
almost in for the hex, but yeah, triple hero here for Junker, so Dreadlord is back. Where's the Dreadlord here? He's in the Zeppelin. I think he should sell some items.
Guarded by the worm. Can he get
He
another
would be-
hero?
He could if he sells his items, I think.
Yeah, he should. 1 hero. Like, on the other hand, do you really think he should get another hero? I think Dreadlord, like, he will lose his heroes anyways, and Infernal is the way to win this. I think he should rather sell items to keep gold for buildings. I think that would be the best.
Go for base rates.
Yeah, I mean, his heroes won't do much here except that Dreadlord, so I think it's a good call by him to not revive another hero, but I think he should consider to sell his items because his Necropolis is scouted, so he's in a bad spot if he's up against Alien. And he's losing he's losing his second last Acolyte here. No, there's one more here.
Does he have a Death Knight or just the Dreadlord?
No, just a Dreadlord. He's down to 14. But
it's 2, right? Or no?
what do you mean?
Oh yeah, just the Dreadlord. Okay.
Just Dreadlord and 1 worm. That worm could be very important here. I think he should start to attack Alien at some point because he has a lot of buildings and I don't think he can feel comfortable to base race Alien at this point. But if Alien loses some more buildings, I think he can. And
So Alien got his. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Alien got his Torn Chieftain back,
Wow, that's big.
and Side needs to be sending out his Infernal right now. He has his Dreadlord for a reason. He needs to send his Infernal to these buildings. It doesn't matter which orc, in my opinion.
I think he should go for it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think It's difficult because he can't go for Alien because Alien knows where his Necropolis is, but he can't go for Junker, I think, because I think he should just wait and try to prepare. But he is attacking Junker here, and I think that's a mistake, honestly, but not that easy to say.
Side knows that there's a war mill. Maybe he thinks it's the last building.
Players' forces are under attack.
But even then, how do you take out the main build of Alien? It's so many.
Yeah. And he won't be able to do so, I think, in time. He needs to sell some items first because he has no gold for further buildings. And if this Necropolis dies and it's scouted by Alien, if it dies, he will get revealed. So he needs more buildings if he wants to win a base race against Alien. So that's why I think he should either stay under the radar right now or try to weaken Alien and try to get more buildings. But it's difficult because he really has no gold. And I'm not sure what kind of items he still has, so we can't see it right now.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, not sure if he could sell items and make another Necropolis. Assuming he probably could. But yeah, I think you're right. All these buildings up here from Alien, it's going to be difficult to, you know, destroy them just with repetitive infernals over and over again before the Orc player can find his last buildings.
Yeah, and if Alien doesn't fuck up, he should easily be able to, like, this War Mill dies by, like, with one Blade Storm, and also this Great Hall should be killable, but obviously there are Sentry wards all over this place, so you can't just dive into it because you risk losing a hero. But since there is no dock, that dock was killed just seconds ago, he can just wait in theory and hope for these Sentry wards to run out and try to chat a bit. Like, time is running for Alien here.
Side's last building, right?
Second last. Yes, the Necropolis here.
Oh, yeah, the Necropolis, yeah, sure.
But, yeah, and also that last burrow here, but I think Janker should really try to piece with side here. That's his only chance. I think it's only chance to win, I guess, but I mean, you never know for sure.
I mean, his heroes are still gonna probably win versus the Orc. I like the fact that he built the Great Hall right here. Like, maybe at first thought you'd say, oh, why doesn't he hide it in a different spot from the War Mill? But really, this is his last stand. So to have two buildings in the same spot is easier to defend rather than having them in, you know, opposite corners at this stage.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, the Alien's heroes are so bare. I think they, like, he's really at risk of losing here. He's selling more items, so he's down to no items on the TC, no items on the SH, and just 3 items. Oh, and Janker is diving here.
There's nothing on the TC anymore, so no saving him, I guess.
I think that's a very risky move by Alien to just idle here on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe he doesn't know there's so many Witch Doctor wards, but
Is under siege.
So all of a sudden, Side's position becomes much better. If this TC dies,
diving now.
Forces are under attack.
Side needs to throw a Dreadlord. He needs to move his Dreadlord and use the Infernal.
So the TC is finally dying for the second time.
Oh, he got an invulnerable pot.
Oh,
Oh,
what?
TC getting away.
yeah,
Stop.
he feels comfortable. He needs to protect his main building, I guess.
Look, and this is the last one too.
And he's overwhelmed here. He's not chasing. Oh, now he's chasing. But
That's the multitasking. There you go.
the TC is quite quick, but he's going to get it, I guess. Is he?
No chance against
Yeah.
Windwalk. Yeah, 100 a
Players'
backstab. There we
forces are
go.
under attack.
Is it just the War Mill, guys? It's just the War Mill left.
Yep. And the peon is being chased by a Frostworm.
It's a
Or
question.
Bladestorm? I think Bladestorm will kill that War Mill. Or just about. Bladestorm plus invulnerability potion.
But he doesn't know for sure if it's the last building. So,
The Blade
True.
Master has no orb anymore. He can't attack the worm. Can't protect the peon.
yeah, and we shouldn't forget, Janker has a lot of gold in items still. So in theory, if he would have saved that peon, he could have built some more
He has
buildings.
Yeah.
He has a peon right here.
Where is it?
Right here.
There it is. In that 25 HP Zeppelin, yeah.
And
What the-
he should move the Zeppelin over here, but yeah, you're right. He could sell items and build another Great Hall.
He should do so. I mean, it's his last building, so maybe he forgot about that peasant. It's easy to miss it, maybe. But now he's not selling. I mean, he could at least, I don't know what item you do sell in this situation. I mean, I guess at least one of the Katgar's gems.
Yeah, the Khadgar's gem.
Also pendant
that
of
would-
mana maybe, because fights are not lasting that long in this situation, and SH has a lot of mana even without the pendant. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Probably that. I would agree with those two. You could possibly sell a clause plus 12,
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but just because the alien doesn't have a TC anymore and has no items, so he doesn't need a super stacked Blade Master anymore. He really doesn't need any items. Just the 3 heroes will beat the 2 Orc heroes every time.
Yeah. And these are the situations where if side was no undead, but human or elf or something, you could try to get an island right now with one building on it. So that's something undead cannot do, obviously, because you need blight. So
Right.
he needs a necropolis, really.
Okay, so Junker is revealed.
Yeah. And
We all
he...
know where he is.
Yeah, he also uses it as a manet now, maybe. So, but he needs to be careful because his peon is, if he gets a new Great Hall, it will be revealed, obviously, on the minimap. So, I think it would have been the better call for him to sell items and get a new Great Hall. Like, this reveal is just an invite now for one of the players to finish him.
He could have built another Great Hall while this one was building too, right? So it wouldn't have been revealed.
Yeah.
And it's tough for him to leave because obviously this is his only building. But yeah, he should absolutely walk over to the shop, sell some items, and at least be ready to make a Great Hall here. If not make it now,
Yeah, and
or make something.
Yeah, and there's only one air unit out on the map, so even if he builds the Great Hall and cancels it, he can still use that Zeppelin to fly over water and be somewhat safe. So there's only one unit that can kill you above the water now, and it's this worm. And it's like, it's a very sacred worm, so it's probably not going to move that far.
Yeah, I think he knows where he is because of that serpent ward over there.
Yeah, I think he knows. I mean, he tried to kill it, right? Like, he was just not capable of doing so. And I mean, Alien still has most buildings by far, so that's the one to team in my eyes. But yeah, he's...
Ooh, he's getting the TC back.
Oh, and this is so risky to get that Warmill here, and that's
It's
super
exposed.
risky. Yeah, and it's visible on the map, so I think he should...
Weird.
Yeah, that's what I
Weird
mean.
decision there, huh?
I mean, it's not saving
he
you
did-
much time.
I mean, he doesn't have wood for the hall, I guess. Is
You're
what he was
right. He has only 150.
Oh yeah, so he needs to
That's
get...
not enough.
He needs to use that one peon to get more... I mean, he could buy a shredder, I guess. I mean, never mind, he has no supply, but...
He has no supply.
yeah, but he could... Like, it will take him a long time to get gold here. And Alien is... I always forget,
So there-
like... Sorry.
That's okay. There's one island on this map. It's right here, right? Is this still an island, or did you guys edit this to where it's not buildable?
Honestly, I'm not sure which map we use to remove the bridges, but I think unless you're a human, you cannot... like, you can get farms up here. Like, there are islands here. And there is one... Where was... There's one here, I think.
Did you see the final that I played on this map versus versus Alien and J33? I lost because he had a tree up here, and I couldn't find this tree.
I won my first FML match against Alien on this map, where he spawned here, and I had my last building here on this island, so that was my first win. And we do see Janko killing that Great Hall here, and spikes are, since the buff, spikes are really strong, so it's actually quite painful to kill buildings with melee heroes.
Right. Let me say this, it's actually maybe smart that he built this war mill up here. A, because he needs the lumber, but also because he's in close proximity, so that allowed him to kill this Great Hall because he was within range of defending his war mill.
Yeah.
Obviously not this one, they're not really going for it. You know, Alien is frankly scared that he's going to come in here. Now, one thing that Alien could do if he had the gold, 60, I was going to say he could buy a Zeppelin to protect his heroes because the Orc player sold his orb, right? So now Zeppelin's now very strong, but doesn't look like he has the gold to do that.
And good call by SyDe here to finally getting the second Necropolis, especially since the first one is going to get killed here, so he's forced into doing so. But yeah, he sold some items, so well done. And he is discovering the peon, so everyone, Janko is on side right now, and SyDe is killing Alien's peon, which obviously reveals his position here.
And that was his last peon. at 50.
Was it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yes. Only the 3
What?
heroes.
So that's an
Yeah.
important kill here, and he will be revealed, right? So, and he will never get back to
Yeah.
buildings. So,
Yeah.
everyone will be revealed soon, and unless, like, except
Oh.
SyDe, right? If
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
keeps it alive. But I think you could. I think Ellie knows where this Necropolis is simply because he saw the Dreadlord. So if there's a Zeppelin with a Dreadlord, you can imagine that there's an Acolyte nearby. So I think
Yeah.
Ellie knows that there's the.
He's spreading out
Necropolis.
already. Like
Yeah, it's
the
the
illusion's
last
looking on
building.
right.
It's the last building, so this is a very scary situation here for SyDe. But finally, Janker got enough lumber here. I think he should try to get
wow.
even more lumber. And Alien is revealed now. So these are the nail biter finals that, or nail biter base races that we like to see.
Let's like Janker or SyDe will probably die. How do they get rid of Alien?
I mean, Infernal can kill like 10 buildings easily over time. But it's just because Janker is not revealed anymore right now. Like they know, but it's super risky to make any call right now. And I think SyDe just needs to wait and hope that no one will try to finish him, because one Infernal, like one Dreadlord, will not make you win the game against any of these orcs with these buildings still. And he's moving out with the Infernal, but that Infernal will die, I think, quicker than it can deal any damage to that Great Hall.
Getting blocked already. But there's he could use a Blade Storm against this building.
I mean, Alien, I think Alien's best chance here, trying to go for it, but it's so risky. Like, if Alien loses the Blade Master right now, he's really fucked. And the worm is hexed here in the back.
Oh, retreats though.
No orb on the Blade Master again.
Yeah, and that worm will survive, but it will take a long time for that worm to get back up to full HP. Does it ever go? Like, he needs to go over Blight, right? Yeah.
Blight.
So there, luckily there's some Blight here.
Yeah, but Shadowhunt is chasing.
Yeah, but I don't think he can ever kill that worm.
I think they're gonna try to go all in.
Yeah, Alien is moving with the Blade Master right now, but I think he needs full mana on all three heroes and just try to die for it. That peon is super important right now. Oh, he needs to be so careful with the Blade Master. Like, there's no more Windwalk right now. He needs some more. It's.
He also no wards.
I mean, he has no. He has. It's tempting, I guess, for him to go for that peon right now, because he knows that peon is super important here, and that peon tries to get some more lumber. But how much lumber is a Great Hall?
190 or something.
Isn't it
185.
185. Okay, so that will be some work for that peon here.
He did it once.
Yeah, and SyDe is
So
moving
fun.
in here with this Infernal, and I think SyDe maybe moving in here with the Infernal. I'm not. Like, if I was SyDe, I would just stay under the radar, just do nothing here. But maybe it's the wrong call.
I think selling this orb maybe was a mistake. You know, there's critical hits on the Infernal. You'd like to be able to purge something, of course. Got 2 hits before it died.
A player's forces are under attack.
Straight up not lying throughout the entire game. 3 hours. He's the good guy.
Yeah, this game has gone on obviously almost 3 hours. To me, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. It's been pretty action-packed throughout, and I think a testament of the game. I mean, we still have north of 2,000 viewers right now watching the game, so that's pretty cool. It's glad to see.
And that's the downside of attacking someone's last building. So Janker found that Necropolis and is going for it. And if he uses Blade Storm, SyDe needs to be quick here. Yeah, okay, he's getting another Necropolis, I guess. But that's the downside. If you attack someone, on one hand, you are showing that you are willing to take some action, but also you're making new enemies, so he's gonna lose that second last building. Ooh!
Right.
That was close. That was really close.
And it's smart that he obviously has a staff of teleportation, because he can go and seek these buildings with just the Blade Master and then TP back, right? Just like what he's doing.
Yeah, and Alien, I think instead of using all his mana here for Windwalk, should just stay back, get full mana with... does he have his aura still? No, he sold all items. Should get full mana and try to maybe Bladestorm these buildings? I don't know.
Nice necropolis spot, right? For side.
Yeah, it's a
probably
really nice spot. It's a really good spot, I think. I mean, obviously, like I think he, by losing his other necropolis, I think you don't want to waste. You don't want to spend your last gold on this in this situation. So I think that was a mistake by him. But yeah, I guess it's all right. Where's the Zeppelin, by the way? There at the bottom. He is still flying here. Not sure if he has items still.
Asking to find his peon. It's literally right there, chopping wood.
He knows where it is. Yeah, you can't kill it with a Windwalk cooldown, right? Like it's super risky.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you can try it, but if one wrong hacks and that Blade Master is down, and you
hope for a crit.
And that Blade Master is your last chance to finish these buildings, I think. There's not really a way to finish them without Bladestorm. Ooh, and this is, yeah, SyDe doesn't want to lose the Zeppelin here.
Close, but he won't find it.
So I think it's pretty obvious what Alien and SyDe need to do. What do you think Yanker should be doing right now, High Tech? I mean, is it smart just to try to find buildings with the Blade Master? Is there anything else that you'd be doing?
I think you should weaken Alien. Trying to weaken Alien right now. But it's hard to say. I mean, if you camp, you just give your enemies time to get mana on all heroes. So I think he either finish SyDe, try to peace with SyDe, or try to weaken Alien. That's the only options he has. But it's so hard to say, and I mean, yeah, it's really not easy in this situation to make a right call. I still think he has some items to sell, and he almost has enough lumber for another Great Hall. So I think a time maybe even plays in his favor here. If he has two Great Halls next to each other, maybe he's just winning that. I don't know.
SyDe is giving up on Yanka, I guess.
Yeah, and SyDe just revealed that he's down to one Necropolis. I think that's a mistake. And if you really have one Necropolis only, I think it's a mistake to say that. Because it's too risky. If it's scouted, like one Bladestorm almost kills it.
It could also be bait, so your opponent thinks you're down to one.
Yeah, but that's what I said earlier. It's SyDe. Like if he says that, I think you can believe it. I don't think he's lying about it.
But maybe it's the one time you can't.
Maybe, yeah, you're right. I mean, we are observers, so we know. Okay, so SyDe's trying to convince Alien to dive this. On the other hand, I don't know if SyDe can't finish Alien alone, I guess, so. It's, SyDe needs to hope that they are going to weaken each other. So I think SyDe should just do nothing right now. A second Wall Mill here.
Yeah, it has good HP, it doesn't cost any lumber.
And do you think it's a mistake by Alien to wait that long right now? Because, I mean, obviously, as he sees right now, Yanker is getting more buildings. So, the longer he waits, the more difficult it will become to finish him.
So he just said that it's here, so he's gonna maybe use a dust, thinking the Blade Master's there.
Ooh, Dreadlord is down on the ground.
No orb on the... Is that again?
But no orb, yeah. No orb, right? So only SH can, with auto attack, can and send Serpent Wards here.
Serpent Wards, yeah, but it's all but safe.
And
to go and he needs to drop an Infernal on the 3 Orc Heroes. Hope Alien can defeat them, I guess.
He should not
here's the drop. SyDe is going in. Is the Blade Master backup, or will you just leave him alone?
Yeah.
Where's the TC? Why is Alien's TC down there? Oh, he's gonna lose his Shadow Hunter.
He's not fully committing though.
I guess, yeah.
Here comes Bladestorm and the Worm and the Dreadlord. They're going all out on Yanka.
Yeah, but I don't think that's enough here. And that Dreadlord is going to die, 100%.
The Dreadlord needs to put him in a Zeppelin.
Oh, Worm doesn't look healthy as well. Dreadlord is just gone.
Ooh, and the dust! The dust!
It's over.
That reveal though! Info potion, can he get him? Shockwave, and he's dead as well.
Okay, so that was a fail by SyDe and by Alien. But
Why was
Oh,
the team
wow.
down here?
Shadowhunter has no items. TC has no items. Alien has 62 gold. What
I
do you
mean,
do?
Wow.
I mean, Alien has 2 heroes still, so with Shockwave, I think he could. I don't think it's going to work. I mean, I think he could kill the Great Hall and the Wormel easily, but I'm not sure if it will be enough for the second Wormel, honestly. But maybe he should invest into a Zeppelin, and maybe that's what he's going to do now, realizing that there's no orb to. I mean, he has no items though, and 62 gold. So forget what I said. I guess
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. No Zeppelin.
Can't do shit.
Ilares made a huge mistake there, right? Like he lost the Dreadlord by not having the Zeppelin ready, and then of course the Blade Master died to a dust, which I don't know if that's necessarily a mistake, but just a really good play to dust randomly
Yeah.
and destroy the Blade Master. But I mean, Alien didn't have his Torn Chieftain, right? Like I would have liked to see the Dreadlord drop Infernal, and then maybe the Dreadlord use Sleep on the Orc heroes, and then give Alien advantage to fight with his TC and his Shadowhunter and Blade Master, and possibly win that. But without Sleep, without the Torn Chieftain, man.
And that worm, imagine SyDe wins it with that one worm. I mean, can happen. So we do see Alien diving here, and if Alien just finishes both buildings but loses both heroes, there's a decent chance for that worm to finish the game. We'll see.
If there is no anti except the Shadowhunter, yeah.
Yeah, but like it doesn't look for Alien as if he's going to like. I think it is. This is Janker's game. Looks like it. A lot of wards here, but that TC is.
Yeah, so much for the Shockwave plays. They're still hacks.
Though he gets full mana on a
Yeah.
TC.
Yep. Alright, Shadowhunter is gone. He shockwaves the Great Hall, but it's getting hexed immediately. Worm
But there's no more orb here, so.
A player's forces are under attack.
Stomp. And backstab. And that's a triple kill right here. Alien's losing everything. Can't do shit. Bye-bye.
So that one worm and that one acolyte have to do some serious damage here, and I think that's.
That Acolyte won't. It is. The
Yeah,
champ
that's it.
is in the finals again. Junker didn't look too good for some time. Got teamed up for like 30 minutes, but that madman did it again.
So we had 950 units that lost their lives here in this game. 800, maybe more, right? No, roughly 950 units. 19 hero kills for Janker. Pretty impressive. 10, 10, 10. So definitely deserved. And yeah, gold-wise, it was pretty equal between
Pretty
these
much,
three
yeah.
players. So amazing match, yeah. I really enjoyed it. I hope you too.
Absolutely. Even though it was completely different than yesterday, it just showed a very different appeal of FFA with the super late game and a little more diplomacy and a little more teaming than yesterday. It was awesome.
Yeah, today was, I would say, more of a normal, regular FML match. So usually it's more like the balancing will go for a bit longer, and you don't have this piecing until 3-way. So, again, yes, thank you so much for, for joining us and for streaming and bringing FFA to a wider audience.
So, who's in the final now? We saw Janker winning, and yesterday we saw Neutron winning. Who are the other two, and why didn't they play semifinals?
So the two players that had most points in the stand-up bracket, which was Shave in that case, also one of the old school legends and trolls. He had most points in the stand-up bracket. He is one of the finalists, and Quest, also one of the greatest undead players from Russia who made it to the top of the no chat bracket. These two players had a free ticket to the final, and then only all these following players had to play that semifinal. So now we have Shave, we have Quest, we have now today we have Janker Zam, and we do have Neutron from yesterday. So it's going to be a pretty stacked final.
So, boys, when do we meet for the final again?
Yeah, that will be up to the players. I will ask you for times you can stream, and hopefully we will find a time you are able to stream and cast, and all players can play, because it's always FFA relies on players to find a date they can play. And
Next Wednesday would be awesome.
yeah, we'll try. And yeah, Quest has map pick, so we will know by tomorrow who's going to what map it's going to be, and we will schedule the match on ffamasters.com, so that's where you always see the scheduled time at the top. But
And I'm pretty sure you're gonna post it on Twitter, right?
yeah, of course, every Warcraft 3 players on Twitter, as we know. So only the important ones are. So we'll publish it there.
So where do they find you on Twitter?
On Twitter, my tag is Ferry Drake.
And where do they find the Twitch stream you're streaming on?
Twitch.tv/FFA Masters League or Twitch.tv/hightech.
And where do they find the YouTube VODs?
It's a good question. On YouTube, you find us by searching for FFA Masters. Some noob created that account, I think, by writing FFA Master League instead of Masters, so ignore that. And also we have Seksi stream, who is...
Was about to ask him as well.
Yeah.
Seksi, we're a fucking awesome addition to this duo. We need you back for the finals as well.
Definitely, I definitely will. If you guys will have me, and I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun casting with you here. My stream is twitch.tv/FML_Seksi, SEKSI. And just like the previous semifinal, if you guys want to go to Back to Warcraft's YouTube channel, when he uploads this, I will post a comment with links to the FA Masters Discord channel that you guys can join, the most common streams, FA Masters website as well. So check that out. We definitely encourage you guys to join the community, and really appreciate you, Neil, for sure, for helping us out here. And it's cool to see how excited you are about the game and your passion for it already. And it's just all good, man. We really appreciate it, and definitely excited to see a grand final, which should be a very good match.
I'm having a blast with you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we see each other for the finals.